Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and race fans alike, and we are back with the Formula Racing League Pure Sim Gear GT3 Masters. It is Season 10, and we're at the halfway mark now. We had a proper race at Bathurst last week, and now it's time for round 4 at none other than Kyalami. Bringing you all the action from the commentary box, and on behalf of 00 Raven Comms, my name is George Cook, and I am joined by none other than Rob Barker. Rob, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening, George, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's event. Very much looking forward to this one.
Good to have you here, as always. We are over in South Africa today at Kyalami for a slightly special event. Special in a couple of ways. We'll get to that pretty soon. We've got 90 minutes today with a few changes to the rules to accommodate. But more on that shortly. We, of course, have 4 classes in racing today in the GT3 Masters. That's Pro, Silver, Pro-Am and Am categories. But here in the live stream, we are going to be covering the Pro drivers. But we also have the Silver category today, which will switch things up. So, again, more information on that coming up. The prizes for each of the victors in each category is going to be a lovely pair of Pure Sim Gear sim racing gloves. So a big thank you to the sponsors of this series, Pure Sim Gear. So a brief overview of our schedule today. First up, a bit of information about the track conditions and weather. Then we'll go through our standings, including a little bit of an overview of the Silver category. And then we'll be talking about who's going to get the success ballast applied to their cars. We'll go for a bit of information about Kyalami, and then we've got 10 minutes of Pro and 10 minutes of Silver qualifying to set the grid, and a 90-minute endurance race. So a slightly different format here today with the combined server, and we'll be making our way through that as best we can. So over to you, Rob. What are we in for today, mate? And how are things looking out on track?
Yeah, well, not too bad actually, George. The weather at Kyalami is looking excellent. Dry conditions with an ambient temperature of around 23 degrees with absolutely no rain on the horizon. The mandatory pit stops for all on the grid today. They must change tyres, and refueling is allowed. Obviously, it's a 90-minute race today, which is a slight change from our usual format, so some more fuel strategy will come into play. Looking forward to this one. Myself, I'm not very well versed around here. In fact, I don't think I've even driven the track. So tonight, I shall be leaving it to the pros.
Excellent, all good. You'll get used to it pretty quickly, I think. But nonetheless, looking now to the current standings, we've got Krzysztof Stachecki. He moves up to first in the Pro standings, and these are the Pro standings, by the way, on the back of a victory at Bathurst. Then Nico Veldman, who's dropped round 1, is moved up to second in the standings, a rapid rise from 6th. Stalva and Rubia takes third in the standings after not racing in Bathurst, but a solid P2 finish in the previous round. Oleski Pachenko goes to 4th position after finishing 5th at Bathurst and dropping round 2. Benjamin Eck took P3 at Bathurst and now finds himself in 5th in the standings. Gregory Ivanov, currently in 6th in the standings, drops round 1, but still to find a podium this season. Nigel Taran, who was leading the standings last week, now in 7th in the standings with 2 DNFs in a row, which have cost him big time. Marco Keddy returns to the top 10, is now in 8th place, 49 points strong, but wasn't able to make it to Bathurst last week. Followed by Den Edvardsen, holds 9th position, but sadly has a DSQ on his name for the remainder of the season, so unlikely to progress further in Season 10. And rounding up the top 10 in the standings, Mikel Rodriguez, with a 6th place finish at Bathurst, rounds out the top 10 in the standings.
If we take a quick look at the Silver category, Sten Hilhorst, the Dutch driver in the number 7 Audi, currently leading the championship, 99 points for him, with a did not start last round. Omar Rolano Meza, the Spanish driver, in P2, and in P3, currently the number 34 Lamborghini driver, Britain's Dave Goodway. So yeah, halfway through the season now, and things still looking very close in the standings, all to play for to get the drivers a great pair of Pure Sim Gear racing gloves.
Brilliant. So now onto the success ballast, and it will be Stachecki for the Pro drivers, 25 kilograms, and Rubia will take 20 kilograms on board. Benjamin Eck will take 15 kilos, Veldman 10 kilos, and Pachenko will take 5 kilos. And just looking over to the previous results for silver category, the same will apply for Fedotov, who came P1, 25 kgs for him. Pithavias will take 20 kgs in the Ferrari. Goodway, we've just mentioned before, will take 15. Hill will take 10. And Longdon will take 5 kilos. So that's going to be interesting for all the drivers. It's going to be a tricky one with potentially larger fuel loads over the entire race, but some strategy could be coming in. So let's talk about today's circuit. Kyalami, what a track. Now, track length here is about 2.8 miles, about 4.5 kilometers. It's gone through about 5 different iterations over the years, but founded in 1961. Current layout from 2016. Of course, we are located in Kyalami, South Africa, close to Pretoria, and a few other locations. 15 corners, 9 to the left, 6 to the right, with a 25-meter elevation change, and one of the longest straights here, 1.1 kilometers. That's the main pit straight. And it's just a little history for everyone, but 24th of July 2014, this track was actually put up for auction for 205 million rand. And you guys can go and do the currency conversion on that. The winning bidder was actually Toby Venter, the owner of Porsche South Africa. And he put in another 100 million rand to upgrade the circuit, allowing it to successfully obtain an FIA Grade 2 status. And that's why we're able to race on it in the Intercontinental GT World Challenge, which races there to this day, including the Kyalami 9-hour race, which has been going for literally the entire length of the circuit since it's existed. It's changed. The circuit has changed 5 times now, major changes, with many of the corners being moved or renamed. A notable one being the Kink, which has moved 5 times in 5 circuit layouts, and has been a chicane, among other things. Used to be where Cheetah is now, and finally has landed on being the Kink in the main pit straight. So, of course, I have to mention, in my opinion, Kyalami has the absolutely very best corner names in motorsport, including corners like Barbecue, Crocodiles, Mineshaft, Cheetah, and Sunset. Lovely.
Yeah, indeed. Back in '61, the circuit hosted the National Championships, Randspring Trophy, and the 9-hour endurance race, the latter of which would become a major fixture, as mentioned, in the following years. Public attendance was huge, thanks to the circuit's closeness to Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Witwatersrand. That's hard to say. Spectators were left super impressed by the viewing given to them from the stands. At least 2/3 of the circuit can be seen from most of the vantage points. So excellent viewing here at Kyalami, and a fan favourite.
Indeed, it is a great track, and we're very much looking forward to seeing 90 minutes here for the GT3 Masters, and all that action will be coming up for you very soon. So for now, let's go and do our track walk, and then we'll be going and jumping on circuit momentarily to kick off our qualifying. So here's Kyalami. As you can see, some of that development around the top right there is encroaching on the circuit. They had to shorten it a little bit, but down the main pit straight through the Kink, into Crowthorne, and then up through the Barbecue corner into Sector 2. Sunset gets very interesting, a very fast right-hander through Clubhouse into the S's, which is down the hill, and then all the way up to the top of the circuit in Leerkop, starting Sector 3 as you go down the hill to Mineshaft through the couple of very tricky corners, Crocodiles, Cheetah, and the final very difficult corner of Ingwe down the main pit straight. The pit entry here, very, very difficult to deal with, as it is incredibly tight on entry. Everyone's going to have to jump in to the pit at some point today, and that is going to be one to keep an eye on, because the exit out of Cheetah is, yeah, I think the technical word for that is difficult, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting, Rob.
Yeah, I said not very familiar with Kyalami myself, but looking at the layout, the main straight is relatively long, leading into the tight left-hander at Crowthorne corner. I reckon if a driver could get a good exit out of the last, get a good slipstream, carry a little bit more speed onto the straight, they might have an opportunity to outbrake their opponents into turn 1. But yeah, really, really excited to watch this race unfold. Absolutely fantastic circuit, and I cannot wait to get this one underway.
Absolutely agreed, and we are counting down the seconds now for free practice, so we will be jumping into qualifying soon. As we understand it, this is the first time we've done a multi-category race here on the broadcast, at least with us as commentators. So it'll be a little bit interesting for us just to figure out exactly what's going on in terms of the pro and the silver categories. As we understand it, we've got 20 minutes of qualifying coming up for you. So 10 minutes will be the pros will go out on track. and the other 10 minutes, the silvers will go out on track. So a split qualifying between these two categories. And another thing that I'm noting here, Rob, is that the track temperature is going to be 32 degrees Celsius out there. So very, very hot out on track. Those tires are going to take a bit of a beating. And just getting a confirmation here from our lovely admin team. Big shout out to them, of course, in the background for getting all the technical things set up. Stuff that we don't really understand, Rob, but we let them sort all that stuff out and give ourselves the opportunity to get all the information. It will be silver who go out first for the first 10 minutes of qualifying, and then the pro drivers will then go out for the last 10 minutes of qualifying. 10 minutes, so it's technically a 5-minute reduction from what they're used to. So they're usually getting 15 minutes of qualifying out there. Now, unfortunately for them, they'll only get 10. So it really is going to be pedal to the metal, get your laps done, and get a banker in as soon as possible. Otherwise, you are going to run into a few problems during the grid because, of course, pro drivers can start behind the silver drivers. Silver drivers can start ahead of the pro drivers and vice versa, which would be a bit more normal. So for a pro driver, you really want to be as far up the grid as humanly possible. We are going green for qualifying right now, so we will jump over there and begin our run through qualifying. And I see the silver drivers going out now, so let's jump on track and have a little look about what's going on. Okie dokie. Artichoke. Okay, so, excuse my little joke. It is quite early in the morning here, of course, for me. I'm from New Zealand, so I'm halfway around the world for this. And Rob, actually, what time is it over in the UK there? It's about 8 p.m. UK time, so it's not too late, is it?
Yeah, just rolled past the hour. It is 2 minutes past 8 in the evening for me here in the UK.
Ah, yeah, so not too late, but you did say to me earlier that it is a little bit cold in the last couple of days, so autumn's starting to creep in a little bit over there. It's probably the right time to be in.
The weather has been absolutely miserable here in the Midlands of the UK. Not like we've got on track today, though. As you said, that temperature is absolutely soaring for this evening's race. 23 degrees ambient, 31 degree track. Not the hottest we've seen in the recent races. I don't know if you've been witnessing the track temperatures over the last couple of races, George, have been absolutely astronomical. I'm surprised the tarmac has been holding together.
I know they've been almost creating sort of lava out on track. The track is lava, the tyres are on fire. Yeah, I think what we saw 33 or 34 degrees Celsius out at Imola, so that was probably one of the hottest we saw. Bathurst as well was very, very hot. And you know, but it's always fun, you know, when you're an administrator and you've got the server at your fingertips. Always nice to pop in a bit of a challenging situation for the drivers, and yeah, so that's going to create a bit of fun. But at the same time, we do base all of the weather on real-world conditions. So it is, in fact, at Kyalami today, 23 degrees Celsius ambient temperature. So with the blazing sun down there in South Africa, I'm not really too surprised that we've got very, very hot track temperatures out there today. Of course, it is 3 p.m. out at Kyalami, so it's certainly sort of just after the middle day side. It might have been a little hotter, so we might see over the 90-minute race just a little bit of a cooling of the track. We'll see. And here's the concertina already starting to happen. Everyone lining up to get their quali lap started. Only 7 minutes 30 seconds left for the silver drivers, and there is a queue there of about 10 drivers, all waiting to get themselves started. And folks, you'll have to forgive both me and Rob. We haven't done any commentating so far on the silver category, so we will be learning a few new names, and we'll be interested to see what these silver drivers are capable of. We know that the silver category has been very, very competitive, which is excellent, but a slightly new challenge for the pro drivers to navigate today, I think.
Indeed, so just looking out on the pit wall, it looks like Andrei Fedotov will be first to set a lap time. And just looking on the pit wall live now to number 314 does seem to be the first out on track. I think you can correct me on that one there, George.
Oh no, you're absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on there. Yeah.
Superb.
So confirmation Pitbull Live is doing the things that it needs to be doing, which is always nice. I think he's being followed by the 696 car and the 789 car. So that's Kastaras and Mikos as well. So across the line comes Fedotov of 140.9. That is a nice competitive time there. We do know the ultimate pace here is just into the 39s or the mid 39s. So that's very, very competitive. And he's 0.7 of a second above Kasitarash. in the 7, 8, 9 car, but has already been dethroned there by Pithaviz for P2. So Pithaviz does a 141.3, so 0.4 of a second behind Fedotov. That's pretty good start there. Tassin. So look at those Ferraris. I know the Ferraris are strong here. I was actually a little bit regretful not to be in a Ferrari the last time I raced here, because it is, honestly, one of those things. We've had a little bit of an accident here. Broughton, you have to correct me on any naming issues that I've got, which is going to be plenty, I'm absolutely sure. Ends up in the wall there and returns back to pits. More times coming in, and at the moment, most of the times hovering into the 141s, 142s. So that Fedotov's time at the moment is a real standout, because that's nearly pro-level speed there.
Yeah, got an absolutely stonking Sector 2 time. Obviously a very solid, a very quick Sector 1, but an unbelievable Sector 2 time. Averaged out towards the end of the lap, but obviously you add those 3 sectors together, gets on a 140.992, fastest we've seen so far. And as you mentioned, some of the pro drivers very competitive against their lap times in the practice that we saw just before we started the broadcast. It's a very, very good lap, George. Very, very good lap.
It's absolutely top quality stuff. And just looking at some of the deltas here, on board with Giuffrida, who we do recognize from the GT3 nightclub, up nearly 0.6, or 0.7, found a lot of time in the last corner there. Will come across the line. That'll be a nice low 141. It'll send them right up the grid to P4. Excellent stuff. But we've got Fedotov, and he is going faster once again, but only at the start of the lap. Just come through barbecue, going into Sunset, and more issues out on track, sadly, for some of the drivers. And that's a return to pit lane there for Misa. And then we've got Longden as well, who, you know, we're expecting to see some good improvement from some of these drivers. Pithaviz at the moment not going a lot faster, going through Sunset at the moment.
Did just steal P2, did Pithaviz on the last lap out. He was a little bit further down the grid, so slots himself up to P2 as Tazin puts his car P3. Potter just improving his lap as well, the number 91. Potter, the Aston Martin, puts his car on to P6 as we see Williams improving into P11. So times are coming in thick and fast now, George, with only a couple of minutes left for the silver category, about 3.5 minutes left for the silver category, and the lap times are flying in.
They sure are. Crikey, good catch there, because I did not know. So I've got my head stuck in a whole bunch of data sheets at the same time. It's trying to do everything, so I'm juggling, and that was a good little pickup there, because yeah, Pithaviz is right there, 7 hundredths of a second behind Fedotov, so it's a fantastic time. Fedotov, though, does go just a little bit faster, a few hundredths of a second, and it has made a bit of a difference, a 40.945 now. Just saw Mikos, he's actually gone purple in, I believe, Sector 1. So for a very brief period of time, but we'll keep an eye on these drivers as they do improve their times. Another one to mention in P10 at the moment is Jur Gutis in the BMW 343 car. So looking great livery there. Absolutely love that. Look at that crazy wild green cat on the side. And up on his time as well by 0.25 of a second. Van der Water has just gone up ahead into P6, and that's pushed Casteras down a little bit into P7. Robinson as well, not going faster, but Pithaviz is finding time out on the track. So can he hold it? He's going through Sunset at the moment, up 0.2 of a second. That's going to be a very competitive time, because Fedotov is not going fast at this stage. 2 minutes remaining in this qualifying.
Yeah, all to play for now. Coming down to those last couple of minutes in the qualifying session. And currently out in front, Fedotov with the 140.9. Pithaviz just in P2 there, just a 10-second back. Tassin another 10th or so back to P3. Got Gluff Rider in P4, Robinson P5, Van der Waart in P6, and I can't see the full name of that driver, I'm afraid. Let me just click on that.
And
I can't see his name.
oh, well, that's all good at the end of the day. If you see a card number, we can always do card numbers, but just want to read.
789.
Ah, yes, Kassetarash, I believe, but
Castarash. Yeah,
yeah.
it just yeah, missing the last couple of letters on my Pitbull live there. As we just see a change at the top there, George.
That's right, yes. Epithaviers had a great last sector, was up 0.3 of a second on his time and takes pole position with a brilliant 140.8 at the moment. On board now with Fedotov and, well, not finding a huge amount of time. He's going to need to find over a 10th in this lap. That was a little bit of a rough exit through Sunset. Not finding a huge amount of time, but behind, Tassin is actually going faster. And Epithaviers is now also going faster. Gomez has had a bit of a problem somewhere, decided that's it for his qualifying. Tassin is currently not up on his time, completing his final lap of this race, but Epithaviers is going faster again, finding time, and a lot of time. The Ferrari driver there, the 211 car, doing a brilliant job and potentially is bringing this home, because if we look over here at Fedotov, he's not finding any more time on track. He's down by 0.15 of a second and coming through Crocodile now. So he's going to have to find some time in this last sector, these last few corners, and he has found just a little, lost some on the exit. We'll keep an eye now on Fedotov to see if he's able to do anything. Oh, and he's gone very wide at Cheetah. That is going to compromise him a significant amount.
Yeah, the car that we saw at the side of the track, Nuno Gomez, had just improved his lap time. I think he was just pulling over to return to pit, but he set a 141.6, which elevated his position up to P8. Excellent lap from him.
That's right. Epithaviers comes across the line for the last time, and unfortunately has invalidated the lap that he was 0.2 of a second up on, so that's very unfortunate. Now the silver drivers will all be required to return to pits, because we have just seen the stream of pro drivers come out of the pits and are now on track, led by the 93 car, which we will find somewhere in the standings. There we go. It's Chowdhury. So the Sky live read McLaren there. The McLarens are traditionally quite difficult to get around this circuit in a competitive fashion. All the silver drivers will now return to the grid, and we're going to see what happens in the next sort of 8 minutes and 30 seconds, Rob. So always interesting to have this kind of split qualifying format. I do quite like it. It makes things certainly quite interesting. And yeah, so we've got now, I believe, somewhere in the order of, we've got 45 cars out on the circuit, and Chowdhury's just decided, nope, that's not the lap for me. I'm going to return to the pits.
Indeed, I think one of the interesting points that you alluded to there is when we do get the group mix standings. Obviously, today we have the pros and the silver. It does bring to light how close and how competitive these leagues actually are. I mean, with the lap time of a 140.8, that's going to put you well into the pros, I would imagine. As I said, they're super competitive, super close. And if you're not driving around some of the best people, we might as well go home.
Yeah, that's very true. I've always found that driving amongst better drivers is the fastest way to improve, watching how others drive on track and following them through corners, and then usually seeing them disappear off into the sunset. And speaking of sunset, that's the corner that we're at right now for Bezelhoff, and he'll now go through the next corner here. Looking pretty stable so far, leading the pack of pro drivers out on track. But you're absolutely right. It's really good to see a mix-up of the grid. It's almost like seeing, when you've got sort of a GT3, GT4 mix-up. It's always really nice to see. So, yeah, it's good so far, and we'll see exactly what happens. And we've been suggested that instead of mentioning the last name of Castarash, that we actually say Amir. So it might be easier to say Amir. That's a little suggestion from our admin team, so thank you very much for that. That's going to simplify things, I think, Rob.
Yes, and my apologies, Amir, for absolutely getting,
well, both our apologies,
much of a mess trying to pronounce the surname there, especially when there's some letters missing off the end of it. So my apologies to Amir, but absolutely fantastic time, I might add. Popped himself into P7 with a 141.4. So on board with number 17, which is of course Ruslan Bizlov. He is about to cross the line now and promotes himself into P4 as Veldman takes P8.
Ooh, now that's interesting. So far, 141s. Of course, that is their first outlap. The tyres do take a little bit of time just to get up to speed. We've got Veldman in P9, as he said, and Rubia in P11 at the moment. Keys takes P17. Pachenko in 23rd, so not a great lap starting for him. Rodriguez in 23rd and 24th now for Pachenko. Verona takes it with P4, so takes away the position from Bezelhoff, but still none of them challenging for those top slots. But yeah, it takes a couple of laps for the tyres to really activate. We saw that in the silver category as well. The best lap times were certainly flowing in after sort of 2 laps, although Fedotov did put in a 40 on his first hot lap, so that was very, very impressive. So maybe a few promotions in the horizon for some of these silver drivers. They're certainly putting in some great lap times. On board now with Verona, who is currently up 0.2 of a second, and we'll keep an eye. We'll bring up some race information here just to get everyone on board with things. And actually, tell you what, that's pretty inconvenient. So we will actually take that away immediately. So I have to redact myself there, unfortunately. But at the moment, 0.3 up on his time is Verona, and going purple is Bezelhoff behind. So, yeah, this is going to get very, very interesting in the remaining 5 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, all to play for now. Just 4 minutes, just under 5 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Getting a banker lap in, swinging it round as we see Bezelhoff promote himself 1 place, which will knock Verona back down into P5 at the moment. Kiss pops himself into, as he's slotting P12 for him, as we see more movement. Verona now back to P5 as Cowley puts in a P7 attempt with a 141 flat for him. Lots of jumping around. These times are coming in thick and fast, but nobody yet seems to be pushing that top spot.
That's right, yeah, although we've had a very close call here, and Rubia has done a 140.872, and Zach Dahl to the basically, well, top of the pro charts at the moment, 140.857. We are hundredths of a second now for 2 drivers away from Pithavia's lap time. And that's Leinard goes into P4 overall. That's another good lap time. So we've got 4 drivers within a 1/10 of a second at the top, including, and still maintaining the top spot at the moment, the 211 car in the silver category. 3 minutes 44 seconds to go. And we've got to keep an eye on this because Verona was just improving until, oh dear, it's gone off track. That'll be a reset back to the pits as soon as humanly possible and get themselves out on track once again. That was a great lap from Cowley, though, I have to admit, and he's really finding time on track through the top of the hill at Liakop.
Yeah, very good, very strong sector 3. It was his sector 1 performance that is letting him down a little bit at the minute, losing a couple of tenths of a second over the quicker time. So not too far away in sector 2, but a very good sector 3 as well for him. But overall, excellent lap as we see Veldman promote himself into the top 10 and gets immediately pushed back out of it as Benjamin Eck puts in a fantastic 140.9. That's P7 for him currently. Cowley improving yet again, P4 for him now. With just a couple of minutes left, all to play for, and still, and there it is, as I was about to say it, Grigory Ivanov takes P1 in the pros of 140.1. What a lap from Ivanov there.
Yeah, we know how fast Ivanov is. It's just a shame he hasn't been able to convert these fast lap times into race wins at the moment, but across the line goes Leinard. It's good enough for P2. That's a very, very nice lap time. Nearly gets himself into the low 40s as well, but not quite. But that's going to throw Pithavias down the grid a bit. So this is what we were expecting, of course. We know the pro drivers are the tippy top of the best. Keys in P13 going fast as well, finding a better time out on track. But Ivanov, a 140.167. That is fantastic stuff. And look at Keys and Eck here. They'll be preparing for what is going to be the last lap for them, or the last couple of laps for them. They will get across the line, get one more in there. And Keys is improving, so this will push him up into the 140s if he maintains the time as it is now. No one else in the top 10 currently improving, so I suspect they're all just getting ready for the last push, the last lap in this qualifying, and then it'll set the grid. and that'll be all she wrote. It'll be into the 90 minutes of racing. So, found a bit of time there. Can he keep it on exit? Yeah, looks pretty solid on the exit, losing just a tad of time, but across the line we'll go Quiche, and boom, there we go. Up at the P11, so not necessarily the best lap time there, unfortunately. But he will go for another lap, and we'll see if he's able to improve on his time.
Just looking at the breakdown of Ivanov's pole lap, he did indeed actually take the fastest lap and also the fastest of all sectors, so nobody going quicker at the moment as he fails to improve himself on his latest lap round. A superb lap from Leinhard in P2 now as well, very, very close in all the sectors. Looks like he was losing the majority of the time in sector 2. Just a couple of minutes, so just a couple of seconds, 30 seconds remaining. Anybody on board going any quicker? I can't seem to see anybody doing anything too good just yet.
That's right, yeah. Zakdal's maybe found a 10th here. Cowley has found a 10th. They're they're all sort of gaining a 10th, losing a 10th, unfortunately. So they're not quite finding the pace that they're looking for. A lot of drivers here in the pro category struggling to get their cars down into the 40s, but that's okay. It's one of those tricky tracks. It is very car dependent, very setup dependent. It's a tricky track to get your car set up for, and unfortunately for Ivanov here, he's invalidated his final time, so he will not be improving any further. Verona's just gone up there into P9, takes that away from Benjamin Eck, and Rubia comes into the pits. That's his qualifying over and done with. Now going on board with Eck, who's found a heap of time, going through Ingwe at the moment. He's going to find about a 10th and a half. He goes across the line. What's this going to be good for? This is going to be good for P6 for Benjamin Eck. Brilliant.
Yeah, beautiful lap there from Benjamin Eck. A phenomenal race watching him last week as well. The battle last week was one to be desired. So he'll be over the moon there, I think, with a P6 with some super fast lap times ahead of him. 7/10 of a second is for P6. So Grigory Ivanov then, P1 for the start of this race. He's got to be happy with that lap time there. And how about Pithovas in P3, George?
Yes.
Unreal effort.
Speak about the cat amongst the pigeons here. Not that I want to compare the pro drivers to pigeons, but, or maybe this is the pigeon amongst the cats. I'm not quite sure. Nonetheless, Pithovias will take P3 for Silver Credit. That is an incredibly impressive time. As you see there, Ivanov is over half a second above everyone else on grid, which is massive to say the least. We will start our grid walk and take ourselves through the grid. Big grid today, 45 drivers, so we better get this started as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to be in a little bit of an issue, aren't we? So, on pole for the pro category, it is Ivanov, and P2 it will be in Leinhard here in the Lamborghini, and then Pithovias. So the Ferrari 211 car, looking excellent, and that's a great competitive area to be starting in. Next, we have Zach Dahl here in the white Mercedes, and then in Rubia in the Lamborghini, the blue Lamborghini with the, I'm not going to say too much here, but the red tyre rims there, not my favorite. Then, of course, we've got Benjamin Eck, impressive performances in the last little while. The Lego liveried Mercedes, then Cowley. And now we've got another couple of drivers here from the silver category. Got Fedotov and Tassin there, so P8, P9 on the grid, respectively. Verona as well, which is a pretty good qualifying there, but rounds out the top 10, followed by Kies and Bezelhoff on the 6th row of the grid, and Veldman. And then we've got Giafrida here. Robinson here in the 336 car, Van der Water, and that is a very pizzery Porsche there. I do like that. Is that pineapple? Is that pineapple on that pizza? War crimes.
It does indeed look like pineapple.
Actually, I do like a bit of pineapple on my pizza, but some people will not appreciate that. Then we've got Gardby here, the 221 car pro category, so not had the best run there, unfortunately. Here's Amir. I love this livery, very FRL oriented, got the Sim Grid logos on there, looking great in the 789 Ferrari for the silver category. And then Rodriguez, who's up there in the standings for pro at the moment. He's actually made a big jump. Just trying to find him in the category now. I believe that's P10 now in the category, so doing very well for himself. Gonzalez will be just behind him. The McLaren's here, not fast, so that's why we're seeing a lot down the grid. Panchenko And then we've got Gomez here, P22. We've got Artemenko in P23. They will be getting started in just a moment. We've got a big formation lap to do, so we'll continue through the grid as we go. Osorio in silver category here in the BMW. I like this. McDonald's, get the Macca's livery out. Absolutely brilliant. Then we've got the crazy, I don't know what kind of cat that is, but it's a crazy looking cat. I do love this livery too. Masters of Endurance there on the top. So United Races liveried BMW for Jurgutis. I'm going to pronounce names very poorly, sorry. Potter here in the Aston Martin, so yeah, that's quite a nice livery too. Stachecki, and this is an interesting one because Stachecki is currently leading the championship for Pro, and he's down there in P27, Rob. What happened to him?
Yeah, not a good qualifying for Stachecki in the 144 McLaren. It looks like the McLaren it just isn't working around Kyalami this evening.
That's right, and I tell you what, Rob, you take us through the rest of the grid, and we'll get started pretty soon here.
So Stachecki, okay, Stachecki P27 for him. We have Milkos in P28, the number 696. Brown will start in P29 with Petrovic in P30. Goodway will start P31, currently third in the championship standings, as we have Camaria in P32. Spurler P33 for him, and Rolano Meza in P34. Hill will start 35th, Williams will start 36th. Longdon, surprise result from him we will start 37 as we see Nikkonen in P38. Jones will take up P39. Kuzmenko P40, Thompson P41, and Bruton will round up the back of this monster grid in P42. Oh, no, he won't, because there's more. Chaudhary in P44, Sikups in P43, Sikups in P44, and Best Biletov in P45. So the grid was even bigger than I thought it was, George.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive grid with the combined pro and silver categories, and we've got Best Biletov here as well. So yeah, this is going to get very, very interesting at the start. Everyone hopefully is going to take it nice and easy. Of course, it is a rolling start here, as we usually do have. They all are lining up side by side, coming through the last couple of corners now. So it's all going to be about that run down to turn one. The circuit tightens up immediately. So things do get very, very scary very, very shortly, unfortunately for all these drivers. And yeah, this is going to be interesting for all of them. But we're going to keep an eye on all the pro drivers and, of course, Pissaviers and the top silver runners. We're going down the main straight for the first time, and look at the size of this grid. It is absolutely massive. This is what we like to see. This is endurance racing. Let's get ready to go racing, because we're about to go green here for the Pure Sim Gear GT3 Masters Season 10, Round 4 at Kyalami. And green, green, green. We're away. Good launch for the top there. I think that's Benjamin Eck. He's got a good run, and Rubia as well, trying to get round the side of Pithaviers. Zach Dahl looking up the inside, as well as Leinart. He's gone right round the outside, but he's going to have to pull that back in, or just manages to do so. Zach Dahl now challenging him on the outside, and Ivanov has taken P1 as it stands right now. Continues to maintain his position off the line. A little bit of chaos maybe happening at the back there. I see some slow cars. There's a big yellow flag out on track right now. Ivanov takes us away, followed by Leinart, followed by Zach Dahl, followed by Rubia, followed by X. So the top five, all pro-level drivers taking us away on the grid right now. Fedotov has fallen down a few positions on that start, and oh dear, we've got some big incidents happening. We will take some replays back there. Big loser in that has been the 55 car of Thompson, and everyone else is having a bit of jostling as they come through that's the club for the first time, and up the hill for the first time on this opening lap. And Ivanov at the moment running away with things, so good stuff there, and a great start for the Ferrari driver. Leinart as well, just falling a little bit back at the minute, but good start for the top five there. Fedotov and Pithaviers have actually switched around. So we've got a bit of a switcheroo happening between these two drivers here for the lead of the silver category, but Fedotov has found a way through on Pithaviers. I wonder if he's gone a little bit sideways, but now they're being hunted down by Bezelhoff, followed by Giafrida, Tassin and Robin, your next three in the silver category. Great stuff here. Cowley at the back there, Keese in P13, Garby P14, but across the line for the first time, it is Ivanov leading away here at 90 minutes of Kyalami. What a start that was, crikey.
Absolutely crazy start. You see a couple of people now dropping back off, so we've got quite a few boxers, one of which notably is Verona, who's doing very well in the standings right now. He looked like he got involved potentially with a bit of bother with the number 55 of Ian Thompson. I cannot be absolutely certain it was those two drivers, but they did find themselves going backwards. So we are losing Thompson, Sickups, Williams and Verona, all potentially back to the pits for repairs maybe, but either way they've all got, no, they're still going, but they have plummeted down the order there, George. So a few bits and bobs happening amongst that monstrous pack of drivers.
Yeah, crikey, it was quite the start. We've got, just looking at the moment, my accident sheet at the moment has filled up in an amazingly short period of time. So we've got incidents all the way from really early in the race that we will go and do some reviews on a little bit later on. Right now, Benjamin Eck is under a bit of pressure from Fedotov behind. Fedotov, we know, is fast. So Benjamin Eck will have a little bit of work to do. Of course, 90 minutes race here, so there will be some strategy that comes into play. And we'll have to keep an eye on exactly what these drivers are going to do. Usually what you do in a race like this is half it, take 45 minutes of fuel on board, pit about the halfway mark, get yourself onto a nice fresh set of tyres, and then go around again. The track temperature, though, is cooling. So as we head into the late afternoon, 4 p.m. now on track, the track temperature is going to cool down, and that's going to really help folks later in this race. Cowley going for a move there, but not able to keep it. Oh, actually, it makes it done, but he's got a lot of damage on the front of that car. The Ferrari will be suffering from that, unfortunately. So Robertson in behind currently. And nice little battle happening down the grid here, but the packs are starting to open up a little bit. It's going to be very difficult to keep an eye on all the action around the grid here today, as you guys can imagine. But we will obviously do our absolute best. A fastest lap from Ivanov, a 140.945, so already absolutely flying in his Ferrari. A little bit of side-by-side action here between Robinson, and I believe that's Quiche. Still yet to figure out the exact pronunciations of some of the names. And ooh, this is getting very spicy into sunset. Be careful there, everyone. Don't go too wide into sunset, I tell you. From personal experience, I can tell you it doesn't work.
Yeah, the extremely long right-hander, yeah, if you find yourself on the outside of there, I think you'll be finding yourself into the grass.
Yeah, that's right. Very rapidly, and then often it turns into a bit of a launch around, do a bit of a 360 no-scope into the Shadow Realm, sadly. So it's not ideal. Guardby there, looking to make a move on the outside of Quiche, not able to make it done. Compromises him just a little bit on the exit. And he's got Stachecki right behind him. So Stachecki has had a mega start at the moment. Just looking down the grid of positions gained, Stachecki has gained 12 positions off the start. That is incredible. Wow. The only other person to do that is Bespilatov. He's gone from the back of the grid up to P27, 18 places gained. That is super impressive. The big loser, unfortunately, Verona, has lost 28 positions in the first couple of laps. So, yeah, that's a real disaster there for Verona. But Stachecki, that's very impressive to be back up in it already.
Yeah, he'll want to get. It's a long race, but he will want to get a move on to work his way through the back. Try and give him the best possible opportunity to capitalise on the fact that it's a 90-minute race. Obviously, as you said. You can't win this one in turn one. It's a very long race, as we see Ivanov absolutely pulling off into the distance. But yeah, very long race this evening, and the drivers will be absolutely shattered after this one. It's a lot of concentration, George, to drive at this level for that long. So, you know, will we see a couple of mistakes later into the race? We'll see another couple of incidents being reported on the accident involved report there. But yeah, very long race. It's going to be a challenge to stay focused and keep putting in those lap times.
Right, just going on board for a little bit of a replay here, trying to catch some of the action that happened at the back of the grid. unfortunately, my incident sheet is filled up so much that we won't have the full access to all of it. And yeah, we weren't able to catch the action that happened and P in the background as things got started on lap 1. But I can tell you, there was quite the pile-up that happened back there. And we've got a little bit of action now between these 4 drivers for the top 20 position here. So Jugatus, the 343 car, in a bit of a battle with Goodway. Looks up the inside, does Potter, but he's not going to make anything work there. Rolando Mesa also in the action at the minute. Pithaviers there is dropped back a little bit off the back of Fedotov, I'm just noting, so under some pressure from Bezelhoff, who we know is going to be quick. Not maybe necessarily this circuit, but we know he's a very quick driver. He was very close to taking a great result at Bathurst, but wasn't able to make it happen. A 40.6 now for Ivanov, another fastest lap. He's just setting lap after lap here. Again, we know how fast Ivanov is. The question is, can he convert this one into a race win or even a podium, Rob?
Well, he's pulling away from that pack at the minute. Up the gap already up to 3.5 seconds over Lionel Zakdal just behind, but half a second behind, and Rubia also in the mix as well is Benjamin Eck. And like, yeah, as you said, Pithaviers has found himself falling back a little bit, but he's driving with racing up there with some of the best that we have. Stachecki has promoted himself up yet another spot, so now up to P14 from the back of this absolutely monstrous grid. So he'll be happy with his progression so far. Can he make it a little bit further up the grid, do we think, and get himself amongst those front runners? But the way he's going, there's very much a possibility.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to be the key here. I mean, endurance racing, as you mentioned before, is mentally taxing, physically taxing. You've really got to sort of set yourself into a good rhythm and just start to do the laps. Just let the laps just sort of do themselves and try and find some decent time if you can possibly do so. And yeah, but it is very, very difficult to actually keep the concentration throughout the entire race. As we're just having a little bit of action going on here. Tassin in a bit of a tassel with Stachecki and Quiche there. So let's see if Stachecki might go for a move here. Defends on the inside, does Tassin, but yes, Stachecki's going to stick it down the inside at turn 1, and that's a very nice move there from the number 144 car of Stachecki. He's our Pro Championship leader at the moment, so he's going to be looking to find a good result here. And he's obviously got some pace, so I'm not quite sure what happened to him in qualifying, but he definitely did not get the result that he was after. And yeah, crikey, it's 10 minutes, only 10 minutes into this race, Rob. We've got action all over the pack. Oh, that's a big yellow flag happening in the background, and Hill has had a mega issue there. I think that was involved with Broughton here in the BMW. Yeah, look at the front of that BMW. It's not looking particularly happy.
Yeah, I was just about to, I think the commentator's curse, I was just about to check in the chat. I've got a couple of fans in the chat there. Legati Go, Mikel Go, of course, that will be Mikel Rodriguez in the 272, currently riding, currently in P17. And just as we was about to give a bit of love from Mank Nasty in the chat, Bob Broughton, yeah. Commentator's curse strikes again. We happen to catch him just as he finds himself in a bit of an incident down in P34 right now.
Yeah, look at this battle going on all the way from Mikos down to the rest of the P30. This is going to be absolutely spicy. Gonzalez, oh, Gonzalez gets hit. Camaria, oh, and he's gone for a spin. Oh dear, that's not a right place to be. He's going to try and hold the brakes. Yeah, you see him move out the way. Yeah, good stuff. Sorio comes through, Saberlia comes through. That is a disaster there for Gonzalez. He can't pit at the moment, so contact with Camara, sorry, at the 710 car, who got a little bit wide down mineshaft and just tapped the side of Gonzalez. That'll be one for the stewards, I believe, later in this race course. The live stewards are not present. We've got stewarding that happens post-race. Of course, there's some penalties that will be applied by the game. Yeah, none of those have been applied so far. And still this battle continues, led by Veldman in the Audi at the moment. And we've got Best Pilotov just up the road as well. So nice little battle happening here between these 5. And taking another look up the top of the grid, Zakdal is still actually behind Leinart at this point. So no change for the top 5 as it stands now, or top 7 even. Bezalov is in P8, Cowley P9, and Giuffrida is in P10, closely followed by Robinson. So might have a little on board on that in a moment. But this five-way battle looking very spicy. It is for low in the positions, but it is, you know, it's always worth looking at those battles down the grid. And crikey, look at this train of cars. There is 7 in a row there, followed by 3 more. So Robinson here is going to be close to the battle. This is actually, sorry, this is Giuffrida. And oh, big send there. Big send for the 336 car. He's got it done at Crocodiles. What a move there from the BMW.
Yeah, brave, very fully committed on that one, but gets the move done. Absolutely fantastic from him. Unbelievable stuff, in fact. That's the kind of racing you want to see. It was clean, it was brave, and it was bold, but he got it done. Absolutely an amazing move there from Robinson. Yeah,
he'll go up to P10, and another comment from the chat. Held the brakes, that's referring to Gonzalez, who got tapped. Held the brakes, it's the right thing to do. GG to that man, that's right. He held the brakes, that was his first instinct, and that is the most important thing. And then he realized that there was a bit of a gap and needed to get out of the way.
I welcome in DJM Sport. I do know DJM Sport very well. As a good friend of mine, Dan, and it is one of his bugbearers when drivers do not hold the brakes after an incident. So he will be happy with that one.
Good, yes. Well, that is also one of my pet gripes as well. It's one of the worst things when you're coming around a corner and there's a car moving, just idling through and across the track, and then you make contact and your car gets absolutely launched. So yeah, it's the first thing you do. One of the first things that people should learn in terms of racecraft is when you have an incident, it's about how you rejoin and how you hold your brakes. And hold the brakes, then you're predictable. That's the key thing. It's all about being predictable. It's the same when you're defending, same when you're attacking. You want to be as predictable as possible, because that's going to be the way to de-risk an overtake. And if you're de-risking overtakes, you're not going to have as many incidents. If you don't have as many incidents, you're going to go faster overall in the race time. That's how it works at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is something that does get overlooked sometimes. Obviously, if you've been off the track, it doesn't give you the immediate right of way to get straight back on, and it can cause some nasty incidents as well, and not only ruin your old race, but with a grid this size, potentially ruin a lot of other people's races as well. You're all getting very close there, George. You can see in the stream there.
Yeah, we've just had a great little battle here. So Stachecki and Keese through Crocodiles went side by side, and then they nearly went side by side through Cheetah, but Stachecki got the move done. Keese then was under attack by Garby, having a bad exit himself through Cheetah, now being run a little bit wide by Tassin, who's fallen in behind Keese. And Keese is going to be under a lot of pressure. There's 3 cars behind him, and two of them are very fast, as we know, Artemenko and Panchenko. So he's got a bit of work to do in that Audi, and Garby is starting to run away with it. Stachecki, though, Stachecki, look at this. He's just flying away from that pack. He is rapid at the moment, using absolutely everything. He might be going for a slightly different strategy than some of these guys. So there's multiple different ways of looking at strategy today. You could do 30 very fast minutes and then a 60-minute long stint. You could do a long stint for 60 minutes and then go for 30 minutes fast at the end. Or you can half it and have a bit of average pace across the whole thing. So there's a lot of philosophies here, Rob, in terms of the strategy. We might be seeing that Stachecki is running a little less fuel than some of those other races on track, and is looking to gain track position, which, in my opinion, is the smart thing to do. You really want track position at a place like Kyalami. It is tricky to do an overtake here, and if you're not looking for that track position, I can tell you, finding yourself behind a bunch of drivers at the end is not a lot of fun, with a lot of overtakes to do in the closing minutes of the race.
Yeah, it does look like a tricky, so as I've said a couple of times, I haven't raced here myself, but it does look a very tricky circuit to pass. There's a couple of opportunities, but it does require quite an early setup. I'm just keeping a close eye on the battle between Keese in P14 and Tassin in P15, because that gap is considerably, it's opened up a little bit, but that was getting very close between those two, but it has opened back up a little bit, so maybe an attack mounted and failed, because they both hold at the same position. Verona moving forward, which in fact it might be Mikael Rodriguez moving backwards, because Verona, Osorio and Spurla moving up, and Rodriguez moving back towards the back of the grid. Ivanov, George, absolutely flying at the moment. That gap is just getting bigger and bigger, lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, Ivanov is absolutely flying away at the moment. He is racing a race on his own. He's out there in the fast lane, ironically, for 140.602 and holds the fastest lap, of course. Nearly 6 seconds up the road from Leinard and Zach Dahl, who you can just see in the background, just coming around Crocodile. But Ivanov, yeah, might be another person who's got a slightly different strategy, trying to gain as much time on track as possible in the early stages of this race. But if he can hold this pace up, I mean, that last lap was a 140.9. He's going to probably do the same. Actually, it's going to be a little bit slow. He's had a bit of an issue. He's down by about 1.2 seconds. So that's a slightly slower lap for him there. But he's absolutely flying through the circuit at the moment as our race leader. And no one able to challenge him. Behind them, we've got Zach Dahl, who's following Leinard at the minute. And they're only separated by 0.7 of a second. So Zach Dahl's just holding on, and Ruby is about 0.7 of a second behind them. We've got Benjamin Eck for the top 5. Fedotov and Pitviers still battling it out. There's a little bit of a gap between those two, but I tell you, it's getting very close between these two. They're having a great little battle out on track. And oh, that is the wrong camera angle to be using at this time. And oh, very wide goes Fedotov. Very wide goes Fedotov. That allows Pitviers to come right on through, takes P6. And Bezelhoff also gets Fedotov there. So these three having a nice little battle here, but that was unfortunate for Fedotov. Just went very, very wide through Barbecue and, yeah, onto the outside part of the circuit. Not much grip out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed, there's not much grip out there. So, yeah, these guys have been battling pretty close all the way through the race, really. The checkered flag, the lights went out at the start of the race. They've been very, very close on top of each other. Just keep piling on the pressure lap after lap, and sometimes that's what you have to do. Sometimes that's all you need to do, because it can force another driver to make just a small mistake, get a bit of a bad exit, get a little bit wide, miss an apex by you know, a couple of yards, and that is your opportunity to get something done. This track is difficult to pass as it is, so sometimes maybe forcing the error is the way to go.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, your racecraft and using your defensive tactics here is very, very key. It makes a huge difference. And if you don't open yourself up into corners like Crocodiles, which we're actually just seeing this little battle evolve here between Giafrida, the silver class AMG there, the yellow AMG, followed by, still with no livery, is Stachecki. So maybe I have to message him and say, hey, can you just maybe upload a livery so we don't see a matte black McLaren out on track? That's a good exit for him out of Ingwe, so he'll be challenging into turn 1. Very difficult to challenge. Look how wide the track is at this stage. What do? Do you completely compromise your exit into turn 1, go on the inside? There's still opportunities to send it, and oh, that was nearly a send there from Stachecki. Has to slam the brakes on, so that was probably the ideal way to defend into turn 1 there from Giafrida. Just stick it in front of the front nose of your opponent, and don't let them get any kind of space whatsoever.
Yes, Stachecki did have a good long look up the inside of that car. Opted not to, probably the right thing to do. I think it was too far back to make a move, but he did have a good long look. And it keeps piling on the pressure as we speak, chasing down the number 10 car of Robinson. No, it's not. It's Grafrida in the 983 Mercedes. Oh, it's all getting very, very close, George.
Gotta love these battles. This is where, I mean, the S's are fantastic as well. It's all so close quarters. And there's just no opportunity to overtake here, really. And Stachecki sends it. No, thinks better of it. But the send has actually made Giafrida consider twice about giving some space, which he does. So through goes Stachecki on Giafrida. He's made that rather easy. Now Gardby is going to be staring up the rear end of Giafrida. And we're going to have an onboard for some of this. Oh, front splitter view. We do love this. Gardby has gone through on Giafrida, so in the space of a couple of corners, unfortunately for Giafrida, who put on a very, very good little example of defensive driving, sadly, just lost out to those two McLarens, and Stachecki and Gardby go through. It's going to be interesting to watch Gardby now, because we know that he's not necessarily had the best pace throughout the season, but if he can hold on to the back of Stachecki, it will be an impressive drive from him. So hopefully that all still works out for these two drivers.
Yeah, Stachecki is on an absolute charge. I think may have been you know, considering where he's come from in the start of the race, right at the back of the grid. This grid is absolutely huge, by the way. 45 cars, and he's now up to P11 and will be charging down. Whether he'll be able to make any more places, he's 4 seconds off the P10 of Robinson, so still got work to do. 30 seconds off the front of the pack, though. What a race so far for Stachecki, as just notably, George. First retirement of the race is Dave Goodway, P3 in the silver. He's been in the pit box now for quite some time, over 10 minutes in the pits. I think that is, I think we can call that a retirement.
Yeah, oh, that's really unfortunate for Goodway. So not going to help him in the standings, obviously. And we did just have some side-by-side action through the S's. That was absolutely crazy. And I think someone just lose out there. I think that might have been Artemenko. Yeah, Artemenko's been run wide. Artemenko and Tassin. Was that that's Jajutis having a real issue through the S's. They tried to go 3 wide, and I think the rear end has been tapped there, unfortunately. So we are going to have an onboard replay of that. So let's see if we can see what's happened to these drivers. They're coming up to the S's now, side by side. Oh, Artemenko and Tassin there. Sorry, that's oh dear, we've just lost that, unfortunately. Oh dear. Okay, well, yeah. So we'll try and do that once more. We'll try and do that once more, but unfortunately they have sadly lost out. So we'll go back on board here. Here we go. So here's the 343 card, and we've got the helicam to rely on now, which is excellent. Side by side, as you guys can see there, and a little bit of a touch between Keese and Artemenko, and then, oh, that's very close, and oh, opportunistic. Oh, so Jajutis there unfortunately sends both himself and Artemenko directly into the barrier, and that's why we see them tumbling down the order now. So that's really unfortunate there. That was not the place to be opportunistic, sadly. Panchenko making a move here on Tassin and making it happen around sunset. So some real action happening on track. It's going to be really difficult to follow all this, Rob. It's very, very difficult, in fact. But we're trying our absolute best. Bezelhoff and Fedotov also having a little bit of a battle. And Zach Dahl was getting closer to line up the top of the grid. So, I need to catch my breath, mate.
Yeah, take a break there, George. Just running out of breath, running out of steam. It's very warm. I've ended up going from cold all day to very, very warm with all this action up and down at the grid. Some really, really close battles starting to build, and some really, really close battles that have just continued to build. Tassin still very, very close in P15 to the back of the number 220 Audi of Keith in P14. So we've got fights going on up and down the grid. Zach Dahl, 8 tenths, currently 8 tenths of a second behind P2 Leinard in the 172. That's stayed pretty consistent, and Ruby just sat behind that with Benjamin Eck also having a good race for him so far. P5 Peter Veers still holding on to that P6, driving in and amongst some super fast drivers. We've got Bezelov just behind him in the number 17 Audi, a couple of seconds off, but really holding his own in that. I can't actually see what car he's driving, unfortunately, but really
Ferrari,
holding his own. Yeah, he's in the Ferrari, in and amongst those super quick drivers. So great performance from him so far. Should be very pleased if he can maintain that position, and surely got to be one for a promotion look at some point.
Oh, you'd think so, yes. We do have a couple into the pits now. So Quiche and Jajutis. Jajutis was involved in some interesting overtakes maneuvers early on, but both of those drivers now in the pits, as well as Kuzmenko, although I'm not quite sure for how long. They've just come into the pits. So a few people now pulling the trigger on it and starting to get around there into the pits and get those pit stops done. Of course, we're coming up to the 30-minute mark, so this is sort of the alternative strategy. One, Van der Water in the Pineapple Porsche, so to speak, under pressure from Saberla. Now up the hill they go towards Learkop, and around the outside will try Saberla. Can he make it stick, though? Not a lot of grip out there on the exit of the top of that chicane there, and Van der Water will hold onto it for the time being, but a nice close battle here. We've got Osario out the front, Saberla, then Van der Water, and then we've got Amir and Mikos in the background. So nice, another little battle here. Oh dear, there's been big contact there and the Saberla's McLaren has been turned around, sadly. And the Ferrari of Amir will go on through, and Van der Water will lose out after also being the one to initiate that contact into the pits. He will come. And yeah, that McLaren, I can tell you, Saberla, with that rear damage, it's not going to perform particularly well. It's very sensitive to aero damage. So that is potentially going to pull the trigger for Saberla, who is a pro driver, sitting in amongst a sandwich of silver class drivers at the moment. So he'll be looking to make a little bit more progress than this, currently sitting in P25. But just to quickly run us all through our top grid at the moment, it is, of course, Ivanov. He's out to a 7.8 second lead on Leinard. Leinard in second place, followed by Zach Dahl. The gap is about 1 second between them. Got Imbrubia sitting in P4, with Zach Dahl just ahead. Benjamin Eck having a nice quiet race down there in the Lego Mercedes, just keeping it nice and cool. He's got about 3 seconds behind him to Pithaviers, P6, Bezelhoff, Fedotov, Cowley for P9, and Robinson in P10.
As Stachecki, after starting at the back of the grid, finds himself in P11 and starting to claw back some time towards Robinson, but doesn't seem to be making any significant inroads at the minute. But to get back to P11 from the start is incredible. P12 for Garvey, Glafrida in P13, Tassin in P14, with Panchenko just behind, a couple of seconds back. We've got Bespilatov starting to close the gap down to P15. Panchenko making a good effort of a push. Yeah, Hardball's got some movement. I think Glufrida has gone backwards as he stopped. No, he has some action. Yeah, he's lost a couple of places there. So changing the order as we're going through the order. So Panchenko now P14, Bespilatov 15, Brown in 16, Artemenko 17, Potter in 18th. We have Brulano Meza in 19th, and Nico Gomez rounding up the top 20.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's and that's less than half the grid, the top 20, which is the interesting thing. So look at the spread of cars out on track right now. This is absolutely brilliant stuff. Some of the pit stops are going to come through and really mix things up. I do want to make a note here about Bespilatov in P14. 31 positions gained this race. So that is a position every minute of this race so far. That's super impressive from the Audi driver. He's just been finding time absolutely everywhere. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now, I'd love to be able to overtake cars at 1 per minute. That'd be absolutely brilliant. So he's having a really good time out there on track. Stachecki has gained about 16 positions on track as it stands now. But yes, your top three in terms of pro will remain at the top. The top three silver drivers, Pithaviers, Fedotov, and Robinson. Robinson also having a good race down there in P10 at the moment, and this little battle here will continue between Bespilatov, Panchenko, and Brown. Nice little three-way battle going on here. Some blue flags being waved now, so blue flags are going to become a part of the race very, very soon, because a lot of traffic is going to come around and start lapping, especially if you have now done a pit stop. I believe we've got now Gonzalez, the 216 car, in the pits as well. Veldman, got a white flag next to his name. Don't quite know what's going on there, but no, nothing of significance. So about 8 cars on the grid now have gone in for their pit stops. We're down to 42 cars on the grid. So 4 cars have had issues, or 3 cars, sorry, have had issues today and will not be continuing in the race. Right now we're seeing the battle again for P24. 2 McLarens going absolutely at it. So this is the battle for P23, I should say. Nice little send there from Saberla, the pro category driver, taking out the 696 car. Well, not taking out, overtaking, I should say. Thank goodness not taking out Mikos there. And a little bit more action here in the last corner between Jones and Hills. So great stuff on track. It's yeah, like we have said earlier, it's going to continue to heat up. Just keeping an eye on all the times at the moment is going to become an increasingly difficult thing as the grid gets mixed up. But majority of the drivers, as we've just ticked under the 60-minute mark in this race, have not pitted, and we will be seeing a flurry of activity in about 15 minutes, Rob.
Yeah, can confirm 8 drivers have currently stopped. I think Thompson made an early stop after receiving some damage, but there are 7 drivers making their strategic stop already done. And quite interestingly, Andrel Verona I'm just trying to find where he currently is in the standings, but he had an excellent drive out last week. He has stopped and doesn't seem to want to be coming back out of those pits, as is Petrovic. So it looks like we're up to 3 potential retirements here. He's been sat in that pit stop for quite some time.
Ooh, that's very interesting. Let's have a quick look at that. So, for some reason, I'm not getting a pit information on my board for Verona. So, is Verona still actually connected to the server? I'm not actually sure that they are. Okay, we'll have to double check our timing sheets to make sure things are accurate. Yeah, we'll double check a few things and just see if we've got that right or not. But I get the feeling it might have had a disconnect either during the pits or for some other reason. Yeah, so potential car issues there for Verona and the others. So that's not ideal at all. It's really unfortunate, actually, because Verona was on for a pretty decent bit of action here today. And, you know, if you've picked up damage, it's only going to, you know, losing another 30 seconds or so to damage is not necessarily the worst thing that could happen. You've got a ton of time that you can make up. And, by the way, that is ahead of our race leader. That is James Williams. He's in P34 at the moment, getting lapped for the first time by our leader in this race. Of course, James Williams, one of the founders of FRL, so big shout out to him. And that is a very generous way to apply blue flag rules. Decides to just go completely off track and says, no, don't want any part of that. I think there's some damage he's holding at the front of his car though, Rob.
Yeah, the front of the, I was just about to say, the front of that car doesn't look in the best shape, so maybe a bit of contact. There was, you know, at the beginning of the race, I think there's quite half the grid. It looked like they had made contact with something or another, so there was a few wall wounds on that vehicle, but yeah, gets well out of the way and allows the race leader, Grigor Ivanov, all the room he could possibly ever want.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He had the whole track, in fact. So we just had Penchenko there get ahead of Brown, and Brown's going to try and look for the fight back in this next lap here today. And actually, Rob, I don't know, how many laps have we done so far? I think we're on... Oh, actually, I don't know. Maybe you can find that out for me, but...
I can indeed.
That would be brilliant. So we've had quite a few laps here so far. It's obviously been 35 minutes in this race as it stands right now, 56 minutes to go. And just another big shout out to the entire Formula Racing League team. They do fantastic work in the background to organize such fantastic racing for us. This is the GT3 Masters, sponsored by Pure Sim Gear, and you're watching the 90 minutes of Kyalami at the moment in round 4 of season 10, and some great battles we've had out on track. So just a little advert for ourselves here. If you have been enjoying the stream, please do give us a follow on track. And you're in the commentary box here with 00 Raven Comms. That is myself, George Cook, and Rob Barker on behalf of 00 Raven Comms. That's John. We give him a shout out, of course, as well, for giving us the opportunity to be here in the comms box today.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure working with and joining the commentary of recent, and I'm having an absolutely well of a time. You can confirm Grigory Ivanov has just started lap number 20, so with 34 minutes gone, 55 remaining. The drivers are coming up to or on their 20th tour of Kyalami. Crikey.
So they will be going well into the late 50 laps here. So it's you know, 90 minutes is no joke at all. And we're going to go on board a little bit for James Williams. I know it's not necessarily where the battles are happening. There's a battle happening out in front of him as well. But I do want to give James just a little bit of screen time here today. Of course, being our founder. And look at this livery as well. The Pink Pig is the name on the car. It is looking pretty spectacular, if I do say so myself. In fact, I'm being told we're going to get a little bit of a drone shot here just to showcase his spectacular work. So let's have a little look at this fantastic livery. And oh, what do you what do you think, Rob?
Oh wow, that looks incredible. Just noticed the front of that livery there. That's absolutely fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent stuff there.
Do you know who I am? Oh, this is great work from James Williams. Absolutely brilliant. It's shocking. It's horrendous. It's beautiful. It's everything that you'd want, and the great little bit of sponsorship there Obviously, we've got the Pure Sim Gear on the back here. So, as we mentioned before, sponsored by Pure Sim Gear, and the results of the championships will be rewarded in first place with some Pure Sim Gear racing gloves. So, great stuff there. But a big thank you to James Williams and all the organisers in the background today, because putting on an event like this is no small thing, Rob. No small thing.
Oh, absolutely not. I can't imagine managing and setting not only one event. I mean, we're talking multiple events pretty much every day of the week. So if you do want some racing, whether it's on ACC PC, obviously we are on PC at the moment, but there are leagues within the FRL PlayStation community as well on ACC. There is 100% will be a race for you, so get yourself involved, hit that follow, get yourself involved in the races over on SimGrid, get yourself signed up, and maybe we could be commentating on one of your races very soon.
Right, yeah, it's always fun. I always like watching back my races that are being commentated on. It's always interesting to see some of the perspectives, and I've actually learned quite a bit sometimes. You hear what the commentators have to say about your racing or your driving, you go, okay, that's something to think about. Sometimes the commentators are wrong, and sometimes you watch it and you go, damn those commentators, they cursed me on this race just as we got on board. They happened to broadcast the one incident I had in the race, and yeah, unfortunately for them, sometimes that does occur. So it is what it is, unfortunately. We're currently on board with Pissaviers looking back on his rear wing. Great views here, and that's Bezelhoff in chase at the moment. This is for P6. Currently the top 5 unchanged as it is. Ivanov leads us away, with P2 being Leinard, P3 to Zach Dahl, P4 to Enrubia, P5 to Benjamin Eck, and now the battle we're on board with right now, probably one of the closest at the moment around the grid. A lot of people deciding to pit and get their pit stops done, including the likes of Veldman, who, as I understand it, is now in a little battle with the Van der Water car there, the Pineapple Pizza car.
Yeah, so there is a couple of battles starting to brew. Particular one that I was just checking out the lap times. And Rubia and Zach Dahl at the moment, they're starting to build up that, starting to build a bit of a gap. Zach Dahl did, but that gap is starting to crumble down at the minute. So just a couple of tenths as that one goes on. I should keep an eye on that. Also, Brown and Panchenko still all very close between those guys there, a little bit further down the order. We've got battles with Saberla and Grafrida as well, very close. Milkos getting involved in that one, as is Amir. Very close battle actually overall there between it's what, P22 down.
And Amir has lost it on exit and takes out, I believe that is the McLaren there of Mikos. So, oh dear. So Amir's had a big issue on the exit there, and Mikos has suffered for it, unfortunately. Now under pressure from Saberla. No, sorry, that's Longdon, I believe, just behind. So, oh dear, that was a bit unfortunate.
Commentator's curse, just as we were talking about. Yeah, don't watch that one back, Amir. Do not watch that one back. Oh, Benjamin Eck, has he made a stop? Yeah, Benjamin Eck pulls the pin, and one of the first of the front runners, in fact, the first of the front runners, he pulls the pin after 23 laps, almost 40 minutes race time, a fraction over 39 minutes race time. So he pulls the pin. Will we start to see some action in the pit stops in that top sort of top 5, top 6, top 7 drivers, because they're all very close to one another? That will be interesting to see, and keep an eye on that one.
Yep, too right, and he spent quite a bit of time with the pits here. I think on average you're going to lose about a minute overall, about 32.8 seconds stationary. He does come out of the pits now, so he's going to end up just ahead of this battle we were just on board with, so that's good for him, but he will be behind Gomes. So P20, he'll go from P5 to P20 in the Lego Mercedes, nicely ahead of that battle. So that's really good. He's not falling back into that battle. He'll have a little bit of clean air, a couple of overtakes to do, and he should be right back where he stands. And that's, oh, Gomes just decides, you know what, I'm not going to battle that, just going to let him through, and does so quite cleanly into the, just before the corner of Sunset. So yes, you're right, that is the first of the top runners to pit. So this could be the point at which some of the other top runners think, okay, well, Now I've got to think about it, but we saw some pit at the 30-minute mark. We're going to see in about 4 minutes, reaching the halfway point of this race. And then there'll be potentially another flurry of activity at about the 30-minute remaining mark. So it's going to be all to keep an eye on here. And X going to have to put in some good times to maintain that P5. He had Pithaviers behind before he had jumped into the pits. So Pithaviers will have to do some good times as well. We'll keep an eye on the lap times there, I think. And that's going to be the key to all of this. And I think that's another in the pits. Stachecki coming into the pit lane now.
Yeah, Stachecki boxes after 41 minutes of his race. He's been driving incredibly well thus far. Obviously, he did start at the back of the grid, but yeah, in the box at the minute as he comes up to 30 seconds pit time. A couple of other people, notably in the pit stop, Artemenko is in the box, as well as Benjamin Eck makes his way out. Sergio Asario also, I think, has he dropped in? No, not yet. Sorry, my apologies, got the drivers mixed up there. Artemenko is in, and is Maximilian Camara for the silver category. So a lot of action in pit lane at the minute, George.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna get very mixed up. So we're gonna have to put our thinking hats here on, Rob, because yeah, the grid is gonna get very mixed up. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of work just to memorize what's going on. We're gonna be on board with Tassin at the moment. This is the battle for currently a top 10 position. So this is gonna get a bit spicy between these two. We know Garby is very, very quick. Currently a little bit of a difference between the lap times here, both running in the 42s at the moment, so we're probably reaching the end of the tyre life. The cars will be getting rather light. Pithaviers is in the pits now, though, as well as Cowley. So, yeah, pulling the trigger. It's sudden to happen at the top of the grid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And there goes Garby. Well, there goes Garby. Got into the pits.
Oh, so yeah, another box. So that early stop from Benjamin Eck does definitely seem to have triggered a few people into the box, as we see Pithaviers in there, Cowley in there, also Garby in, just in, Potter in. Who else do we have in? Benjamin Eck already out. Stachecki back out on track as well after his stop, as is Artemenko. But yeah, definitely still plenty of people yet to stop. The grid at the minute is a little bit of a mess, and to apologise, we're trying to keep on top of. Oh, as you should see someone shoot up the inside there. That was looked like a bit of a late move. We've seen a couple of people moving through that spot there. Sorry. Yeah, trying to keep up with everything that is going on and trying to guess where people will come back out. There is a lot of dots in the box, and there's a lot of dots on the track, George. And Stachecki making moves as he returns back to circuit. He's off again. Wow, yeah, a lot of stuff to keep an eye on at the minute.
That's right, layers upon layers upon layers. That's how it works in endurance racing. You just got to keep an eye on things, and yeah, hopefully at some point. I mean, as the great Murray Walker said, we don't make predictions. We make prophecies that turned out to be false. So we're not going to get everything right, sadly, in the comms box, but we're going to do our absolute best to do so. Got some battles here going on. So that was actually Zach Dahl, and followed closely now by Enrubia, only a second between these two. So Zach Dahl's actually dropped off the back slightly of Leinard, but Enrubia is now driving very fast, and that was some blue flag traffic that Zach Dahl went up the inside of. So good little move there from him. At the moment, though, the closest battle on track is actually Saberla, who's just on the back of Osorio. But yeah, we will see a few more pit stops. So Benjamin Eck, however, has come out ahead of Pithaviers. Pithaviers have come out behind Benjamin Eck. So Eck has managed to maintain his grid position there. 2 seconds the gap between them. Cowley at the back of the grid there, P19. I think that'll work out quite well for them. There's about 10 cars at the top of the grid now that have yet to pit, 11, sorry. Then a couple who have pitted, that makes sense. Then 5 there as well. So into the pits, Panchenko, Gomes and Saberla. So 3 more coming into the pits as we have just gone past half race distance here, and also marks the half distance here in season 10. Ivanov is in the pits, our race leader.
Race leader into the pits then. I'll keep an eye on this to see where he, I mean, he's going to come out still in the lead, but just interesting to see if the earlier stop by Ben will have any impact or any bearing on the lead, as we see Leinard now take the lead of the race. Zach Dahl also stays out. Indeed he does. So Zach Dahl in P2 and currently with Ivanov in the pits. It's also played for.
Yep, and Rubia also in the pits, as well as Bezelhoff. So Bezelhoff in the pits as well. That's going to be an interesting one. Robinson also decides to come into the pits as well. So yeah, we did say it was all going to start kicking off at about half race distance, and it is indeed doing that. And the real question here, can Leinard and Zach Dahl do something to keep Rubia behind? When Rubia comes out, he will be very, very fast out on circuit, and it might just be fast enough, because he's been creeping up to the back of these two. Might just be fast enough to get past, because he's going to be on fresh tyres. So we know he'll be running quite a bit faster than these two. So potentially the undercut here will be quite strong. And if it is, then these two could be under a serious amount of pressure, because they could lose out P2 and P3 positions for themselves. So out of the pits comes Ivanov. Out of the pits comes Rubia. And down the first few corners they do go. And Rubia does stay ahead of Benjamin Eck. And there's quite a big gap between them. Bezelhoff also coming out of the pits, but falls behind Pithaviers, so that's not a big surprise there. But stays ahead, I believe, of Giuffrida. So manages to keep ahead of that little battle, that little scrap that's going on between those two. But yes, as you mentioned, Leinard does lead us away now, and it's all really going to be on Ivanov and Rubia. Can they pull out some good laps early in this second stint that they are doing and keep their position? And oh, that's a drive-through for Brown. Brown in the BMW, the 738 car. He's sped in the pit lane. Oh dear, that's not ideal.
Yeah, that's not exactly what you want to happen after you've made your stop, and that's to have to go as a 10-second pit, so another drive-through penalty just after making your pit stop, losing all the time, losing all the positions, and then he will have 3 laps now to serve that penalty, in which he will have to drive through at a painfully slow, I believe it's 50 kilometers an hour in this pit lane at Kyalami, so that is going to plummet him towards the back of the grid. Really bad time to pick up a penalty. Well, any time's a bad time to pick up a penalty.
Well, that's true. Yes, yeah. Don't pick up penalties is the general rule of racing. Just try and avoid them, because turns out you should drive faster when you don't have penalties. Turns out, in terms of overall race distance, not individual lap time, but Fedotov, Tassin, and I believe that was also someone else was also in the pits. Pithaviers, though, will have done his pit stop now, so it's all really on Leinard. And when Leinard decides to pit, Zach Dahl has come out as well, and is in fact still ahead of Rubia. So a couple of good laps being put in there at the end of the stint for Zach Dahl. He will maintain that position. So now Zach Dahl will be thinking, oh, can I maybe get an undercut on Leinard? But actually, to be completely honest with you, I don't think the undercut's as strong as I've been thinking, and Leinard's going to go round again. So maybe looking for a very fast last stint in this race. He's only one of, I believe, now about two drivers, who have yet to pit.
Yeah, two, yeah, indeed, 2 drivers yet to pit, and that is your race leader, Max Leinard, and currently driving around in P5, Omar Rolano Misa, in the 89 car. So yeah, just the 2 yet to stop. Everybody else has made at least 1 stop. Some making 2, or some making 2 back-to-backs. You might see Spurler oddly in the pit, back out for a lap, back in the pit. Not sure what happened there, unless it was a penalty that we missed, maybe? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the Browns penalty has been converted into a stop-go 30, so I get the feeling that he was told to only have a couple of laps to come in, and unfortunately has not done that. So a stop-go 30 now being applied for Brown. That is a massive penalty, because you've got to stop the car, can't do any work on it. 30 seconds, you've got to sit there stationary before you can rejoin the track. So the drive-through, a much more innocent penalty compared to a stop-go 30. Rolano Mesa now comes into the pits and will get a fresh set of tyres and some more fuel on board. Leinard is still out there, though, and whether it will be this lap or not, we'll see. At the moment, the gap is actually increasing to Ivanov. So we've just got the little comparison chart on screen right now, so you can all see exactly what the times are. And Yeah, Leinart is currently still lapping faster than Ivanov. Ivanov not got the tyres up to speed just yet. But if Ivanov starts to go any slower, Leinart could be here potentially for the overcut. It could get quite interesting, but we know that Ivanov was, of course, about, what was it, 7.5 seconds up the road from Leinart.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's probably fairly unlikely that Leinart will be able to make a 7-second overcut. But you know, yeah, you don't guess it until it's actually happened on track.
well, same with Ivanov. He did stop. He stopped at the 45-minute mark, so you know he will have the tyres. I was just trying to think, did he stop a little bit early and maybe needed to preserve the tyre a little bit in the second stint, but that's simply not the case. So yeah, he will have enough tyre to put out just as good as a stint as he did in the first stint. So it's an interesting one because Max Leinart is going to have a fresher tyre towards the end of the race. We are coming up to...
Oh, Rob, I've got to interrupt because there is a whole bunch of action just happening here, and it is Judas, and this is down at, I believe, Barbecue. He's gone sideways into the barrier, held his brakes, thank goodness, but we did see a couple of cars fly past on the outside, just super worried about getting involved in that. So does manage to get things going, and back to you now, mate.
Yeah, that was a bit of an odd incident, that one there. Just almost 90 degrees into the wall. Yeah, I was just saying, George, just with Max pushing on well beyond 52 minutes now in the race, coming up to the hour mark. I'm just thinking maybe he's just going to try and extend this stint out as much as possible, and then go for a much more of a push stint 2, whereas Ivanov has definitely gone for the 50-50 split, driving very well on stint 1, so he'll be able to do a similar stint in stint 2. So yeah, I wonder if that's the strategy that is going through Max Leinart's head right now.
Yeah, I think it could be, because I mean, you know, you're going to be much lighter on fuel with much fresher tyres towards the end, which will make you absolutely rapid. We saw that Ivanov basically went for a half-half strategy here. The blue flag's out for Amir and Longdon because Benjamin Eck is coming through at a rapid rate, and is going to be wanting to get through as fast as possible. Does so, cutting the curb slightly on Crocodiles, but nicely moved out of the way from Amir there, and Eck will now move to get past the next car in a row. These were the cars that took avoiding action at at Barbecue earlier on when Jajutis had a bit of an issue down there, and they were both running very wide onto the gravel. So that's Cesario, Giafrida, and Mikos all just going, hey, I don't want any part of that. I want to be absolutely out of the way of what's going on. But yes, Leinart, as you said, just extending. And a 909 has just had another issue there. So a few people's tyres may be coming slightly unstuck. I don't know quite what's happening with Nikeman here. Oh dear, yes. So Nikeman had about 5 yellow flags in the space of 5 corners. So obviously having a very, very bad time out there on circuit. I will just say that Ivanov has reduced the gap to Leinart by about 1.5 seconds now. So Leinart, I don't know what's going on. Might be time to pull that trigger and start putting in some fast lap times. Because at the moment, Ivanov is on yet another charge and looking very strong to take his first race win, and in fact, first podium here in the GT3 Masters Season 10 for Pure Sim Gear. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's been absolutely flying all evening thus far through practice, qualifying, and during the race with just a gap of about 42, 43 seconds. Pit stops for the majority of the drivers.
Sorry, that was Giafrida there. He's gone completely sideways. 2 of them. Oh dear. Yeah, that's some big damage. Zach Dahl will come through as well. Saria and Giafrida. Oh my goodness, that is... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That is very close there. Zach Dahl navigates that with some extreme mastery. Oh no! But there's contact, and Giafrida, who probably should have backed out of that, somehow has got his window wipers on. Maybe a bit of an electronic glitch going on there, sadly, for Giafrida. But Zach Dahl just kind of turned into Giafrida there, just not recognizing that there was, in fact, a car there. So Zach Dahl does go through, but crikey, that was terrifying there for those cars. Sorry to interrupt you once again, but yes, that was unbelievable.
Absolutely rightfully so. Yeah, I really had to hold my breath as that car was moving slow. The drivers behind absolutely flew through that corner. And obviously, there's a bit of a blind crest going up that hill as well as you flick it into the corner. Maybe they didn't see that. But yeah. Yeah. There wasn't quite a move there, was there?
No, sadly there wasn't. But yeah, I mean, that was Zach Dahl was just navigated that perfectly at the end there. I just wonder if we can find that on a replay.
Just my turn to butt in on this one. Max Leinard is in the pits.
Ooh, okay.
So our race leader is in the pits as Ivanov is now well into the last sector. He comes through turn number 15 into the last corner. He comes now. And he's going to get this done, but I'm intrigued to see what the gap would be. The pit stop was 46 seconds. He still hasn't left the pits.
There he goes.
Ivanov will retake the lead of this race by quite some, predicted about 15 seconds here.
Yeah, it's going to be significant because Leinard's only just getting up to speed now. And in fact, Zach Dahl is coming down the main straight and will be right on the back of Leinard. Leinard will have the inside line, but Zach Dahl is going to have the overspeed into the corner. Can he outbrake him, do something around the outside? No. Wow, Leinard just barely holds on. And oh dear, 8.5 seconds the gap to Ivanov. So Ivanov has done enough easily and in fact extended the gap. Zach Dahl now though with tyres that are up to temperature and Leinard with very cold tyres. This is going to be a little bit of a spicy battle, I suspect here, Rob.
Yes, well, I don't want to move away from this one just yet. So yeah, Leinard taking that much later stop. 33 laps he did on those first set of tyres. So that's about almost 56 minutes into the race with little over half an hour remaining of this race. Super close stuff between the two guys, Leinard and Zach Dahl, doing incredible job of keeping it on the track. And yeah, superb stuff between the two of them. And Ivanov, 8.5 seconds currently I'm seeing in the lead. So, wasn't quite the strategy call I thought it was going to be. That pit stop was a little bit longer than I expected, but all still to play for. But I don't see Ivanov, albeit a mistake, I think he's going to drive away into the sunset. No pun, he's not there at the minute, but there's no pun intended there. Absolutely stunning corner at sunset, but I think he's just going to drive away with this one, George. I don't see anybody, albeit a mistake or a bit of traffic maybe, I don't see anybody making any sort of headway into Ivanov's now nearly 14.1 second lead into this race. I feel like he has absolutely nailed this one from start to finish.
Really has. I mean, that's basically the definition of a perfect race there. You know, qualifies right at the top of the grid, gets through the first lap or so, and then just keeps extending the lead. He's just had the pace there. He was 0.5 of a second clear in qualifying from the rest of the field. So we know that he could be upwards of 0.5 of a second faster per lap than most out there on track. And I think that's being reflected now. Well, certainly the advantage in pace is being reflected by that 14.3 second lead. And obviously a good pit stop from him too, you know, and good outlap, a good second start to the second stint there. Half-halfed it as well. Leinard here we should see start to drive away from Zach Dahl over a bit of time as the tyres on Leinard start to get up to temperature. But you're right, Ivanov dominant in this race and set at the moment for a race victory and his first podium in Season 10 for the GT3 Masters. That's going to be very good. Rubia is actually on the back of this battle and maybe slowly closing up, but behind them, Benjamin Eck, and then Pithaviers still holding on to P6. So very good job there from the silver driver.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It was also, you know, got Fedotov as well, and not too far behind also in the silver category, doing an absolutely phenomenal job of keeping it in that top 10. Obviously, Pithaviers was super fast in qualifying. It looked like he was going to take P1 for quite some time until the pros really started to get their foot down. The early...
Speaking of which, Pithaviers has hit the curb at Cheetah and flown off track. He's just dropped 3 positions there. That is a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one before. Back into the clutches now, Fedotov, but will be carrying damage on the front of that car. Oh dear.
Yeah, I think it's time for me to retire. It's the 3rd time tonight that I've spoke well of a driver, and then we have sort of seeing them go off a track. So a huge, might extend my apologies there to Peter Beers. I did not mean that one, but he's still, still having an incredible race. And the things that I was saying about Peter Beers' race are still very much true. Absolutely phenomenal race, phenomenal pace shown throughout as well. Well deservedly of the position he's in, and just an unfortunate clip of that curb, which does send you absolutely flying. If you catch that curb a little bit on that right-hand kink, it will send you flying off into the wall towards the left-hand side of the track there. So I feel bad. hopefully he hasn't picked up too much damage there, George. As we just looking at some comments in the chat there.
Yes.
Definitely commentator couldn't. Oh no.
Yeah, big F in the chat there. Big F in the chat.
I won't read that comment out in the. I won't read that comment out on the broadcast either, just in case the commentator's curse does strike again. We have 3 times tonight that's happened, George.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, almost a request there from Javier for us to focus on a particular driver. So we're not going to go and do that, just in case. But you're right, Pithaviers doesn't look like he's picked up too much damage. So just managed to keep it out of the wall there. Fedotov now close in tow, but this is great because this is going to be a close little battle towards the end. I mean, bad for us, bad for them, bad for Pithaviers, great for Fedotov, and fantastic for us as well, and the viewers in chat, because now we get to see a good battle for the lead of the silver category here between Pithaviers and Fedotov for the remaining 27 minutes of this race, which is brilliant to watch, absolutely brilliant. I'll tell you who we can go curse. It's this chap here. So let's talk a little bit about James Williams and how he's about to make this corner look absolutely superfluous, and watch him spin around and no, okay, look, it doesn't work. You can't do commentator's curse on demand. It just doesn't quite work, unfortunately. But
we can't say we didn't try.
Can't say we didn't try. Quick note here, just looking around the field, Stachecki now up to P10, so he's found his way from the back of the grid all the way up into 10th position. Excellent job from him. The top 5 running away with it. Zach Dahl is dropping a little bit behind Leinard now, as suspected, with the fresher tyres, and that is a drive-through for the 503 car. Who is that? Let's just have a look through the timing sheet. That's Osario.
Find out for you. Yeah, that is Osario in the 503. So
yeah.
One too many corner cuts maybe there.
No, I think that might be speeding in the pit lane actually on this one, unless it did say corner cuts. I'm not sure.
I didn't see any corner cut warnings. I do see a new lap record though for the race, and obviously that has been set by Ivanov up in P1. So a 140.5, 140.5, the new quickest lap of the race, and what that is his qualifying lap pace. So he's absolutely storming around this absolute gorgeous circuit right now. Increased in his lead has actually come down a little bit. Say a little bit, a couple of seconds. It's still 11 seconds, and he hasn't have to navigate through traffic. You see a stopped 68 car on the corner there, turn 7. George, I don't know if you're seeing that on your end, but I have a frozen car on the corner. Turn 7. I don't know if he's had it off there and he was just waiting for the traffic to come through.
Yeah, possibly. I can't see it on mine, unfortunately. I think there was a reset to the pit there, potentially for that car. So maybe a little bit of a server glitch or something to that effect. We're just on board at the moment with Pithaviers and Fedotov, who's remaining very, very close to each other. I will actually mention as well, Leinard, because I knew that he was going to be quite a bit faster. He's actually lapping now 0.4 of a second faster per lap than Ivanov. And yes, Ivanov's just set the fastest lap, but the question is, how long can Ivanov keep up that good pace? With 41s now being set for Leinard, basically on average now since that new stint. He's pulled out a 2-second gap to Zach Dahl in P3, so all but confirmed his position in P2. And that gap will continue to come down between Leinard and Ivanov. The question is, can Leinard put in some really good times at the moment? No, there we go. Ivanov's just gone and responded to the challenge of Leinard and said, nope, I'm going to go and put some more 140s on the board with a 40.862. So at the moment, yeah, that's not going to change. And just in the background as well, we've got Tassin, in a little bit of a battle here, right on the back of Robinson. And behind them, Stachecki. So Stachecki's had a bit of an issue because he's just dropped down from P10 all the way to P12.
Yeah, there's a bit of an issue. Didn't quite see exactly what happened, but lost a significant amount of time over. Well, he lost positions as well, but he started to get a little bit of ahead of himself, and I think he's made a mistake there in sector. Just looking at his lap times, George. Just bear with me 1 second. He did. Does look like he's made a little bit of a mistake. There it is. So yeah, sector 2. Significantly slow, lost quite a few number of seconds in the sector 2 last lap round. So that's where that incident has occurred. I don't think there's any accidents involved, but he has gone wide and lost a couple of seconds, lost a couple of places as well. So he's going to be a bit frustrated with that one, I think, because he will want to get as many points. But keep in mind, he has come right from the back of this monster grid tonight. So either way, fantastic drive from Mr. Checky, and it's taken all but 1 hour and 6 minutes to see one mistake, which is quite incredible.
Yeah.
If you put it into that perspective.
Yeah, too right. He's gained 15 positions as it stands right now, so that was obviously 17 just a moment ago, and we just see Tassin make a move on Robinson's BMW. And will he be able to make it stick? He'll be on the outside for the bottom of the hill at Crocodiles, and that's very wide for Robinson, but manages to hold on to it through Mineshaft. Will keep the inside corner, rides the curb like nothing else, but the BMW can handle that. They might be side by side through Cheetah. No, Robinson backs out a little bit here. Both of them running very wide. Robinson more so than Tassin, and Stachecki is going to be looking opportunistic once again because he'll have a good run out of Ingwe and down the main straight across the kink towards turn 1. There he goes. We'll keep on board with this challenge at the moment, but the other person as well, a couple of other just notes here. Best Pilotov has still gained, he's in P14 at the moment, gained 31 positions in this race. Potter, 10 positions, and Rolano Mesa, 17 positions in this race. And unfortunately, the big losers here today, for the most part, Giuffrida losing 11, Gonzalez losing 10, and Osario, who's now in the pits after a big shunt, I think, somewhere on the track. 14 positions lost and a couple of disconnects. We're now down to only 38 drivers remaining from 45. So 7, unfortunately, drivers have moved out of this race and had issues with the car or issues with other parts of the track. And yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately, these endurance races. But yeah, overall, still going strong. The gap is staying pretty even up the top of the grid, Ivanov and Leinard. Zach Dahl's not dropping off too far past the 2-second mark at this stage. So as we've seen some comments in chat as well, yeah, from 15 seconds to 11 seconds, the gap between Leinard and Ivanov, so that's absolutely right. Now, here's another one because Besselhoff and Eck have come together. Oh dear, okay, we're going to get that on an action replay here, Rob, so let's see what's happened.
Yeah, I could see them tumbling down the order now as well, so there between Benjamin Eck and Bezelhoff, as we look on the replay now, it's a little bit stuttery. So what's happened here, Tom? So Eck is in the lead. Oh, he's just tapped the rear end. He's tapped the rear end of Benjamin Eck's Mercedes, and that has sent him around. Eck gets going quite quickly. Yeah, oh, that's such a minor contact there, but it's the way the car is. I imagine with the way the car is on exit, the throttle is just starting to be applied. It's very twitchy as you reapply that the throttle through that corner as well. Doing a couple of laps earlier, I won't lie. I did have a little couple of cheeky laps before he joined the commentary box this evening, and I was finding as you were applying the throttle, the rear end really does start to complain. So it's not going to take much of a contact to get that car sent around, and that looks to me exactly what's happened there. So really unfortunate for those two, but that does now put Pitaviers and Fedotov in the silver up to P5 and P6. They will be super happy with their performance so far.
Correct, and I think that puts Pitaviers very close back to where he was at the start of this race. He lost a few positions on the race start. Yeah, I mean, we've had some suggestions in chat, maybe that Bezelhoff just clipped the grass at the edge. It's possible. If that does happen, then your car just really does not slow down because it's kind of going sideways. We did kind of see a little bit of that. I don't quite know what it was, but nonetheless, as I think you're absolutely right in saying, Rob, very tricky to apply the brakes in some of these corners. And if you do it just a moment later, you squeeze that pedal just a little bit more, and the car doesn't really want to slow down any more than it usually does, especially towards the end of a long race like this. Of course, brake pads here will just be the normal brake pads. You don't need to be running the endurance brake pads because they'll be running for about 4 hours quite happily before you need to be looking at the endurance brake pads. So, yeah, but very unfortunate for Ben. He's dropped back to P7 there, Bezelhoven P8. And yeah, they both lost 2 positions there, really unfortunate. But the battle continues. For the top of silver here, Fedotov is still right on the back of Pithaviers as we enter the sort of last part of this race. We've got 18 minutes, 30 seconds to go in this race. Ivanov still driving away with it. The gap has come down to now 10 seconds between them. The gap between Leinard in P2 and Zakdal in P3 is now up to 3 seconds. And Arubi is just sitting there quite happily in P4 going, well, it is what it is, and I'll take P4 quite happily.
Yeah, absolutely. Quiet race from Rubia this evening, but yeah, I think he'll be over the moon with the race so far. 5 seconds behind Zakdal at the minute, and 18 seconds off the lead of the race, but plenty of room behind. Just needs to keep it on track, keep it nice and clean, and he will take the P4 no bother at all. Zakdal, however, starting to close the gap a little bit to Leinard, but Leinard is, well, both of them are really starting to close the gap down now to Ivanov. So 9 seconds, so large, but 9.9 seconds gap to the leader Ivanov, but that is starting to come down. That later pit stop, are we starting to see that come into play? Because Leinard's going to be able to push those tyres that little bit harder. Personal best for Leinard last time round, 140.9, whereas Ivanov is almost a second slower that last lap with a 141.7 from him, losing you know, almost 8 tenths, nearly 9 tenths of a second across all sectors. Tyres coming into play with 17 minutes to go, do you think, George?
I think that's probably very true, yeah. So Ivanov has obviously been running about 30 minutes already on those tyres. There are phases with tyres, so you do find that, you know, obviously you have a grip at the start. About 10, 15 minutes in, you'll find that there's a sort of loss of grip phase where you really feel like the car is just not finding any grip out on track. Then 30 minutes in, you can find a bit more grip, and then another 15 minutes later, you suddenly find yourself without grip again. So the tyres do go through phases. It depends how much you know, where you're putting into them, how much you're using them, how much heat is in them. Of course, we've seen the track temperature reduce from, what was it at the start, 29 degrees at the start, 34 in qualifying, to now 26 degrees on track. So it is getting cooler and cooler out there. It will be helping Ivanov just to keep those tyres just with a little bit more life in them. But if Leinard can really use the grip on his tyres, he'll probably go through a reduction of grip phase as well in about 10 minutes or so, maybe sometime at least once in this next 16 minutes of the race. But if he can hold on to it, he's potential to close up that gap. But at this stage, I just don't think he's been showing the pace. Ivanov has been consistently able to find pace when he needs to, just, you know, dropping in and out of the 40s when he needs to, maintaining the tyres, maybe trying to do some cool-off laps just to keep that gap as much as possible. But he's got time to burn. He's got 10 seconds on track, so he doesn't have to worry too much at this stage. If he's going a little bit slower, just manage the tyres towards the end, no sweat really at the end of the day. Yeah,
I have to agree with that there. Just Ivanov definitely in a cruising pace. Well, I say cruising pace, it's not cruising, it's absolutely flying, but he seems to have found his pace, and that's all he really needs to this point. 141.340 last time for Ivanov, whereas Leinard, again, he was much faster the lap before, almost a second faster, but this time round 141.320, so 0.02 of a second difference on the lap times last time round. I think this is just a case for Ivanov, just a bit of race management. If the gap comes down, I have to agree with 9 seconds.
Yeah, ooh. And a bit of a move here from Fedotov. He's finally tried to make it happen, gets a bit squiggly on the exit though. So Pithaviers will retake the lead and have the inside line into Crocodile after they come through Mineshaft down the hill. That was nearly a very good move from Fedotov. He's all over the back of Pithaviers, and oh, that's an optimistic line, going around the outside, but not going to have the exit. And Pithaviers will remain in P5. This is a great little battle between these two. It's been going on for the last sort of 10 minutes since Pithaviers had that issue a little bit earlier on and dropped back. But this is going to be the thing to watch, I think, to the end of the race.
Yes, and let's not forget this is for the top of the silver category. These guys are racing for P1, although you know we're currently sat in P5 and P6, which is incredible when you think about it. That they're up there with the pro drivers, but that battle is for P1. And Pithaviers will definitely want to remain in P1, as Fedotov will definitely want to steal it from him. Lots of points on board, lots of points on offer for that victory, but a superb battle to watch, and definitely one to keep an eye on towards the end of the race. 13.5 minutes remaining. We have seen a phenomenal 1 hour, 16 minutes of action so far. Ivanov all but settled this one, but yeah, still plenty of battles, plenty of action on the track, and we will continue for the next 13 minutes or so to bring as much of that action as we possibly can.
Yeah, another good battle here for the P22 slot, a little bit further down the grid, but a good battle nonetheless between the silver drivers. So all the pro drivers just seem to be a little bit more spread out at the moment, for whatever reason that is. So the battles that we're focusing on now are going to be the battles with silver class as it stands. And yes, comments in chat saying Giga defense by Louis. Yes, very nice lines from Louis Pithaviers. Fedotov has actually fallen behind by about 1.3 seconds now. So the gap's starting to extend. Defensive goes Kamura, and Jajutis is going to try around the outside into turn 1. And some comments in the chat saying silver class greater than pro class. Well, here's the thing, right? So with the pro class, in any... Oh, that's contact, though. Gomes tries to go around the outside, but turns in on Kamura as Jajutis does go through. So good move there. And, yeah, not too bad at all, actually. Often we do find that the lower categories, their skill levels are often a little closer. The pro category often separated by the aliens from the chaps just below, but you know, everyone can have their own opinion on what is maybe greater or what is less. Nonetheless, we've had some brilliant racing here today, and very nice to see the interactions between the pro and the silver class. There's been plenty of action on track with that, so good to see all the drivers having a good time out there tonight.
Yeah, it's something that I think we frequently mention, George. You know, okay, we are looking at two different in quotation mark classes of driver, but the talent and the talent pool that FRL offer, you just don't know where you're going to end up racing with. It could be, you know, it's so close. It's a difficult one to. It's a very difficult one to get. Not your head round, but it's a very difficult one to call. You just don't know who it is you're going to be racing against. Correct.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and of course baptism by fire here in a lot of ways for the silver class drivers against these pro guys, because the pros are, you know, they're usually a lot more consistent, usually a lot faster on track as well, and we can see in the likes of Stachecki and Bezpilotov, who's flown up the field, and there'll be a number of silver drivers that just have been overtaken by those two and just gone, hey, what the hell just came past me? Felt like a bullet train. And that's pretty much the reality of it in a lot of ways. But the likes of Louis Pithaviers and Andrei Fedotov, who got a little bit lucky in their positions from Benjamin Eck and Bezelhoff, who both had a bit of an incident in the last couple of laps. Oh, wow, that's a moment there for Kamura. So big moment into barbecue, and that's going to open up Gomes behind, potentially for an overtake. So there's a nice little battle happening between these drivers, and through goes Gomes there on camera. So great little move into sunset, and we'll have the inside line for quarter names escape me at this point. Oh well, I'll get it right at some point. They'll go through the S's, and Gomes will have it on camera. So very nice little battle going on there. But looking back up the top, the battle is starting to get a bit closer again between Louis and Andre, the top silver drivers in this category. Very unusual to see a sunset overtake there. Very nice. But yeah, Fedotov will be pushing that go fast button once again in the cockpit. And they're actually catching up to the back of the battle that we were just on board with. So there will be some blue flags involved with that. And look, there's Benjamin Eck in the background, who's done very well to catch back up with these two drivers. 10 minutes to go. So there's potential here for Eck. Now let's just compare some lap times here. No, Eck is probably not going to catch up to both these two because they're having a great time in the low 42s, whereas Eck has been sitting in the mid 42s. So we'll see. Benjamin Eck might be able to get back involved in this, but it's going to get a bit spicy with 3 cars, blue flag traffic up the front. Oh, Bezelhoff's had an issue. Oh no, Bezelhoff is gone. He is completely gone. The 17 car has had a major shunt there and is falling down the grid. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, Rob. That is not what you want to see.
Oh, absolutely not. After 1 hour and 21 minutes of racing, just over 8.5 minutes racing left, sitting comfortably in the race. That's, yeah, heartbreak for Bezelhoff there. I think he will be kicking himself tonight when he, upon reflection of his race. I'm not really sure what happened there. Did we see what happened?
I will try and bring up a replay if I can, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's being made as an option for me, so it's not considered an accident as much for some reason. So yeah, unfortunately for him, it looks like it was around Cheetah though.
Yeah, Bezelhoff wasn't really involved in any sort of battle on the track. He did seem to be driving around in a bit of space on his own, so maybe just a small mistake. Respectfully, after an hour and 22 minutes of driving, it's got to be getting pretty tiresome now for the drivers. I know I'd be absolutely shattered after driving for this long, and it's not the easiest of circuits as well.
No, challenging circuit in challenging conditions, slightly changing conditions, not too changeable, of course. Fedotov going a little bit wide there, but now within a second again of Louis Pithiviers, the track temperature coming down rapidly as we reach sort of the twilight period on the track, 5:30 p.m. out there on the circuit, so 25 degrees track temperature as it stands. There's no wind still out there, so luckily for all the drivers, no wind to really contend with. But yeah, the circuit starting to cool down. That will help all of their tyres towards the end of this race, but as you said, the real thing here now is mental bandwidth and exhaustion, which is going to be setting in quite quickly. So just a quick note for everyone, as we do see the blue flag traffic starting to get out of the way. This is going to be interesting because this is going to potentially make a bit of an impact here on the drivers. So we'll keep a helicam here on Pithiviers, who's just gone past, I believe that's Gomez, or that's Cameroon, I think, and now have to make past Gomez as well, and then Jajutis. Of course, those three have been in a battle for a while. Through goes Fedotov, very nice there. Good stuff from Cameroon, getting nicely out of the way. Has cost a little bit of time for Fedotov, but now Pithiviers will be stuck behind Gomes for a little bit. Usually the blue flags, just for those who don't know, blue flags, usually it's about 2 or 3 corners maximum that you're really allowed to stay ahead. So Pithiviers is well within range now for Gomes to move out of the way, and we'll be losing time to Fedotov. Yep. Oh, that's yeah, okay, so move out of the way, blue flag on the racing line, and Pithiviers almost had to take avoiding action there, because usually what you do is you move to the outside there and let the car go up the inside, but still being predictable there from Gomes, so nothing wrong with that at all, and these two will continue in the fight. Only 1 second between them, and that gap is rapidly closing down. It just sort of keeps, coming in, going out, coming in, going out, but never more than about a second and never less than about 0.7 of a second, really. So we've got one more car to navigate for these two, and then they'll be in clear track. The 888 car getting a drive-through for track limits. So there we are, talking about mental bandwidth again, Rob. Yeah, an hour and a half of this circuit, very, very tricky, very difficult to handle. And yeah, I can tell you, it's it's not easy to keep your concentration after this time. Of course, you're going to have degrading tires. Track temperature is changing out there, so you're going to have to keep adjusting those variables in your mind. But yeah, as we reach the end of this race, yeah, that's going to become trickier and trickier as we go through it. Just a quick note before I throw it back over to you. We've got here today, of course, you've been watching the GT3 Masters with FRLs. A special round here, 90 minutes at Kyalami. We are now 85 minutes into the race. It's been brilliant so far. Ivanov has been leading us all the way after qualifying on pole. Leinard and Zach Dahl have been battling as well. There's no real change in the distance between those two. The top 4 unchanged at this stage. The battle at the moment is between the silver category drivers here, Pithiviers and Fedotov. And of course, big thanks to our sponsors, Pure Sim Gear, who proudly sponsor this and providing some prizes for those who win the category after the remaining 3 rounds after this. There's 7 rounds total. We're in round 4 right now, just reached the halfway point of the season. And yeah, so if you've all been enjoying, please do give us a follow. There's Instagram out there. There's our Formula Racing League channel here on Twitch. And then, of course, simbrid.com if you want to sign up and get involved in the racing. And, of course, this is ACC on PC. So just giving you all the information there. And now Rob will be sitting there patiently saying, oh, could you just shut up? Could you just shut up, mate? But over to you, mate, once again.
Yeah, just the 4 minutes remaining in this race. I'm just keeping an eye on Peter Veers on the timing sheets. We have got a car. I think they have now made their way past the car, both Peter Veers and yes, they are through. I was just a little bit concerned that it's a Jagurtis in the 343 BMW. I was just a little bit concerned of the timing screen there, but no, they are through safely. So free air now for Peter Veers and Fedotov. The gap is now 1.1 seconds with 3.5 minutes remaining. I think this is going to be the race to watch, with Ivanov well out, still nearly 10 seconds in the lead. This is the battle that I particularly want to see, and what a battle it's been between these two as well, from start to finish. 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes to go. I have to say as well, George, I was having a little nose around the Pure Sim Gear site. The prices on offer, they are absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, they are good luck. They're good looking gloves, aren't they? I'm pretty jealous. I'd love to be racing in here and get a victory in one of the classes, right? So yeah, lucky them, right? Yeah, Pure Sim Gear got a lot of race gear like that, but the gloves in particular, very, very nice prize.
Yeah, I think the drivers will definitely be enjoying those.
And that's Benjamin Eck, who's had a major, major problem at the top of the hill at Learcop. Yeah, he's now under pressure from Cowley, I believe. That's Cowley, yes it is. So Eck,
Cowley,
yeah, has had a real problem. By the way, Bezelhoff, who was in P8, also getting overtaken by Cowley. So I think those two are holding a bit of damage. Oh, contact there between Eck and Cowley. Cowley's on a bit of a charge at the moment, and he'll get it. Oh, side by side through Cheetah. Oh, don't do that. Oh dear. So Cowley, essentially a punt to pass there, and oh, Bezelhoff coming up behind Benjamin Eck. I'm getting deja vu from 4 laps ago, mate. Cowley goes through, flashing lights for Eck. He's not happy with that at all. Cowley should really redress that position, or he will be headed to the steward's box after this race.
Yeah, it looked a little bit far too aggressive of a manoeuvre there.
Oh, well, speaking of aggressive manoeuvres, Benjamin Eck sends it.
He did indeed send that from a mile back and then some. I do wonder whether Cowley there did leave the door open intentionally. He didn't want to leave too much of a door open, because that other car just behind as well, she's Bezelhoff, I believe. He didn't want to open the door for both of them, but I do think he may have given that one back there, George.
Yes, I think you're probably right, actually. Yeah, because I think he was probably sensing there was going to be a big send, and he just held out to the outside, didn't he? So I think you're spot on.
But the battle still's not over now, but with Bezelhoff absolutely right on the back of that car, and it's not giving this one up, because there is only 1 minute remaining in this race, George. The battle between Peter Veers and Fedotov steams on as well, but this one between Benjamin Eck, Bezelhoff, and no, sorry, we've got Cowley, Eck, and Bezelhoff. It's still not over. Oh God, don't know where to look.
There's just a lot going on in the last 41 seconds of this race. It's all going off. And the battle between these two for the top of Silver Class also still going on. Peter Veers still holding on from Fedotov, who's only 0.4 of a second now behind, passing more blue flag traffic. And it's all going to come down to this last race. Our leader, Ivanov, is going to be coming across the line, I think, pretty soon, going through the last half of this circuit. So we're going to stay on board with the battle that has been brewing all race between Fedotov and Peter Veers. And Peter Veers at one stage was looking very strong. Fedotov, I believe, qualified, I think, 3 or 4 positions behind. So Peter Veers losing it out a little bit. But P5, P6, I hope these guys can just keep it on track, because those are great points for them. And also, we've still got Cowley at the back. That's very wide for Fedotov. Not going to do him any favors there. We've still got a great battle here for P7 between Eck, Cowley, and Bezelhoff. So, oh dear, Rob, it's all going off, and the commentator's curse is backfiring on us.
Absolutely all going off. What a phenomenal race as Ivanov makes his way round the last corner of the race, 10 seconds in the lead. He will 100% take the checkered flag, and there it is, George. Race win for Ivanov in the 406. What a drive from him today.
Spectacular stuff from Ivanov. Leinard comes over the line for P2. Zach Dahl will follow him, and clearly stoked with that performance in P3. Excuse me. P4 for Enrubia. Then the battle that has been brewing this whole time. It is cooled off just a little bit there. There's more blue flag traffic. Oh, Fedotov just trying to give it absolutely everything. Goes wide at Cheetah. But that will be all she wrote. Pithaviers holds on, takes the win in the silver category, followed by Fedotov. P5, P6 respectively. P2 in the silver category for Fedotov. And then we've got Benjamin Eck, and this is the battle that's been evolving in the last couple of laps here, but Eck will hold on. Unfortunate for Eck and Bezelhoff coming together about 5 laps ago. That's allowed Cowley to come through, but P7 for Eck, P8 for Cowley, P9 for Bezelhoff. And then we've got Tassin, who's going to come across the line just now for P10. And then Robinson, who's had a great race, so third for Tassin in the silver class. He'll be stoked with that. Robinson P4 there, and then there is Stachecki, Rob.
Stachecki, what a performance from him. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed because he did make his way into the top 10 after a phenomenal charge at the beginning of the race. Made his way into the top 10, but then a little mistake during that race, put him down a couple of positions, lost a bit of time, but I think he will be overall super happy with that P12 victory. Gardby in P13, he will be super happy with that. Penchenko with a good drive, P14 for him. As we see Bespilatov in P15, Potter P16 for him. Oh, what a race. I cannot catch my breath. Unbelievable race we've just witnessed.
That's right. Apologies for that. Just had a little bit of a broadcast issue there. But yes, Rob just saying, absolutely brilliant race. That's unbelievable. In fact, we've had an excellent time out here. Great to have the combined grid too. That's just been absolutely solid stuff. And the results, the full results will, of course, be available on the simgrid.com website. So do keep an eye out for that. That will be available for everyone at some point. I don't think we'll be able to pull out the results at this stage, unfortunately. It is what it is. But yeah, what a race, Rob. I mean, you know, you expect to have some good battles, but to have that right to the end, not obviously for the top 4. They did very well just to separate themselves from the action going on, especially the likes of Ivanov, who's just been completely positive. And a big thank you to those in chat as well. CBD Driver saying here for Rob, absolutely. Javier, Javier, sorry, thank you for the stream, guys. Our pleasure, of course, to be bringing you this. So, Rob, final thoughts on the race that we've just beholden. It's just amazing.
Oh, if just get a second or two to catch my breath. Yeah, unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable racing tonight. What a drive from Ivanov there, just absolutely leaving everybody for dead at the start of the race, picking up plenty of lap time, consistent as anything. And I've got to say though, George, the highlight of that race for me was definitely in the silver category. That battle towards the end for the silver category was something special to watch. 90 minutes at Kyalami done. Oh, where are we off to next, George?
Well, yes, so 90 minutes Kyalami. It was a lovely race to behold. Completely agree with you on that. The silver class definitely taking out the honours in terms of stuff, the driving there today. I think driver of the day for me will probably end up going to Ivanov. Just super clean, kept it very nice. First podium of the season. Very well done for him. So yes, looking forward now to the next round. So join us in a week, September the 7th. We're going to Silverstone. It's one of my favorites. Rob, have you driven there yet? Because, mate, this is a glorious track. One of my favorites.
Well, luckily enough, this is one of the circuits I've actually managed to drive in real life. But yes, I have taken the. It's about 40 minutes down the road from where I live in the Midlands, in the UK. So yeah, about 40 minutes down the road, I have taken indeed some cars around the glorious Silverstone. Beautiful circuit, and I know it's my track, I know it's my home circuit, but it is absolutely phenomenal to drive, and it's always good racing at Silverstone. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the British GP, or the British round of the season.
Oh, listen.
Season 10 of the Pure Sim Guide GT3 Masters. Oh, I cannot wait for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent. Oh, man, seeing them go through Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel. Oh, man, okay, I can't wait. We're going to be very excited. We're back to the usual race format next week. Of course, 60 minutes will be the race length at Silverstone. The combined grid likely to happen again. So a mixed grid with Silver and Pro drivers very likely for next week as well. Going to be looking forward to that. So make sure you do join us on September 7th. Of course, give us a follow out on the Discord. Give us a follow on stream, Instagram as well, on simgrid.com. Look for Formula Racing League. Of course, you've been here sponsored by Pure Sim Gear for the GT3 Masters and Season 10. What a race we've had today. We're very much looking forward to next week. But a big thanks to all the organisers, all the stewards, all the drivers, and all the teams out there in Formula Racing League. And on behalf of myself, George Cook, and Rob Barker, bringing you all the action from the live commentary box. On behalf of 00 Raven Comms, we will see you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day, your weekend. Stay safe out there. Take care. And we will, of course, catch you next time. Good evening, good night, and goodbye.